Hello, how are you? What y'all doing tonight? What's up, love muffin? You driving again? My goodness, do you ever sit still? Hi, George. Hi, SMJ. How y'all doing? Tonight, I'm here just to have a study session, and I have attempted to have several study sessions in the past. They just never go well. But tonight, I was sitting here, and I just started receiving information. And the information is about um let me see if I can find the image. I was going to when I started getting the information, I was going to write up a outline for Sunday, but I don't feel like going through all that. And so this is more or less, I guess, like my personal um follow through on the information I receive. LOL, it's my week driving from place to place. Oh my goodness. Will you be safe? Now I hope you got some headphones in, keep your eyes on the road, and just listen to me. You know I can run my mouth. And today I'm here to talk. And what I want to do, I don't know how it's gonna go. In the past, it did not go well when I tried to go live and show you what it is to like receive just messages. So I guess the first thing I should talk about is where is this message coming from? The exact source, I don't know. I don't believe it's divinity talking to me because the way divinity communicates is different than what um, it's about different subject matters. I'll say that. As you can see, you see image of a pyramid, and I don't even know where it is. It was in, oh gosh, uh, Napoleon's troops shot the nose off the Sphinx with a hand. It looked black to them. That's what I've heard before. But what I don't want to. I just want to study. So I just want to kind of act like I'm sitting here by myself, kind of talking to myself, so y'all can see how I ride the wave, uh, and I learn. You know, they used a cannon. You know they had to. You know they had to. So the subject matter that I'm receiving downloads on is not from divinity. It is just some source that the Kashi records. I will say that some source that has, I believe, relevant information on this particular subject matter is giving me the information that I'm receiving. There's no way for me to prove that it's true, but feel free to ride the wave with me. Oh God, it gave me a message right before I went live. It was, I don't know. I'm gonna just write this down. And I'm trying to do something. I don't think it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try anyway. Y'all know I'm always challenging myself. So let me finish. I know that you've. I assume that glitching again. Oh, just drives me nuts. Hopefully it stops. But they may know what I'm up to because these algorithms calculate everything that we do, and I know it to be true. Can I prove it? The answer is no, but I know it. So I assume that you've heard about the Akashi records at some point in time. And so, what I'm experiencing now, as I do many times, is I am I can say, in touch with an entity, I do believe, that has, how can I say it? They can read to me the information in those Akashi records. Now, I need you to understand this. When I use certain terminology like Akashi records, it's because it is a common or trendy is common or trending terminology that uh, we are learning. And so I try to stay within the vocabulary that is popular so that a person understands what I'm talking about. Hopefully that makes sense. What are your thoughts on Edgar Casey, the American prophet? The little bit that I know about Edgar Casey, I admire him uh, because of his calling and his answer to his call to prophesy and things like that. The Kashi Reggers, Eric Casey talked about that. I do believe so. I've heard that as well. Hi, Evelyn. How are you this evening? I'm doing a public study session. Hey, Miss Nancy, YouTube has been acting real funny lately with these glitches. I heard, so I'm glitching to you as well. Oh, see, I can't even see. I have so many boards open up, and I don't even have a lot of uh, graphics in this live. It's just basically me, the little words over top, and a couple of pictures. I ain't even added anything. I used to think that was a problem, but it could be there's a lot of people live. I just don't know how to activate all them people to get to see them. It's clear now, so it's going in and out. Not only you, other channels as well. I think it's intentional. I really do. So, I've shared with you how I'm receiving the information. Remember, this is a study session, so at times it may be seemed like I'm talking to myself more than you, ladies and gentlemen, and I will be, because when the spirits talk to me, I speak back to them. And so tonight, all of a sudden, I saw a pyramid in my mind's eye. I'm like, a pyramid, and the pyramid just descended, I'll say, into my mind, and it sat there. And so I'm like, okay, what is this about? And so I'm like trying to figure out what it's about. Why is a pyramid? Because that's not a common thing for a person to think about. And I was like, what do I have to do with a pyramid? That was my first question to this entity. Is the entity male or female? I don't know. I can't tell because it did not speak telepathically. It just has been sending information about this, again, subject matter over here, which I'll clarify in a minute. And so I'm like, okay, what does the pyramid have to do with me? And so, of course, the pyramid didn't lift. It's still in my mind's eye. And so instinctively, my mind starts to surf my um, database, personal database. And I was like, oh, I did a video like in 2016 about, and it basically the future of humanity. And it's entitled, and I have a card attached to this live stream. And the name of that video is Your Ass is Grass due to the World's Greatest Pyramid Scheme. In that video, I did begin that video with a pyramid. And when I realized that, I was activated. When I say activated, I mean it was time for me to just stop trying to sit down and watch TV. And how can I say it? It's a drive. That was the trigger of the drive. Oh, that was the time that he existed all the way to 1945. I didn't know that. It's a few people that I thought existed, you know, prior to the years that I'm seeing now. Eric Casey is one of them. I figure he was in the 1800s. 30 years for he lived to be about 70 something, 68, something like that. What's that? I ain't gonna try to do the math. All right, George. So the drive set in once I realized I made a video. Remember, I'm just sitting up here minding my business, trying to find something to watch, jumping from cable to internet to YouTube. I'm just everywhere. And then the pyramid descends into my consciousness. and I let it sit there for a while. You know, I thought it would be a passing thought. I wasn't trying to entertain it. Once it stayed so long, that's when I started to search, like ask the question, you know, like why is this pyramid sitting in the middle of my mind, you know, and when I didn't get any answer from the entity that's sending me this information, that's when I personally started again surfing my own personal database. And I thought about the video, Your Ass is Grass, due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme that I did, I think, in 2016. In that video, I was saying that I did post a pyramid in that video at the opening and discuss that pyramid to some extent. Today, like about 3 years later, all of a sudden, all of this information comes flooding in. And what it was saying to me was like, again, remember, it really, I can't, because usually I can hear a voice. I didn't hear a voice, it's more images. And the image was that so many people have tried to figure out what a pyramid is and what its purpose is. And, you know, everything from burial chambers and things like that, which I'm sure they were um, multifunctional. You know, to build a pyramid had to be very strenuous, so I'm sure it was multifunctional. Could be a vault, again, burial chamber, different things like that. Other people theorize that it has something to do with astronomy, um, you know, like a pointer or something like that, markers. But today, the information I got, well, this evening, the information I got is totally different than what most people have suggested. Again, it is probably a multifunctional structure. So I'm not, you know, uh, suggesting that it is not. But what I'm suggesting is not only is it possibly, here it goes schooling, something functional, it also plays another role. And so I'm talking about this other role. See, I'm getting hit real hard, like, ooh, ooh. So pass out. Y'all know why. So the pyramid. I just is it something else I should say? Of course, this is theory. Again, I don't have any evidence to back me. I'm just sharing again what I'm experiencing, so you can get to just how I get some of my information. So the first thing I would like to ask you to do is to just, you know, glance over the image that you see to the, what is this? The left of me, the left of me, and it is a pyramid. One of the many pyramids in the world. Pyramids, I believe, are all over the world, and I believe they are present on every continent. I have never heard of estimated count of pyramids, of the number of pyramids in this world, but it's all kind. It's pyramids, they say, underneath the water. Do I know that for certain? No, I don't, because I don't deep sea dive. Uh, I haven't been to Egypt, but you know, the Egyptian pyramids are some of the most famous. Then we have the Mayans have pyramids, every culture. And that was one of the messages that I was receiving. It's just about how many pyramids have been built uh, all over the globe. And so the answer starts to come in. And when the answer comes in, the explanation for all of these pyramids, that's when I start to research, you know, the drive uh, emerges. And so I'm driven to start researching what I'm hearing. Again, I ask you to look over this image to the left of me. I don't even know what part of the world this pyramid is from, and the Sphinx. I forgot. I don't remember it being Africa, but with the Sphinx, I thought only the Sphinx was in Africa, but I don't know. So this is what I heard about a basic setup like this. I'll call it a setup with the pyramid and the Sphinx. the no, the pyramid is a representation of the social hierarchy, global. social hierarchy, global social hierarchy. If there's any young people in here, what do I mean by global social hierarchy? I'm talking about all the people that create humanity and their station or position or class over another or under another in this world, all over this world. The pyramid or pyramids, no, I'm just talking about a pyramid first, and then I'll cover pyramids. A pyramid not only is, again, a representation of the global uh, hierarchy of the individuals that create humanity, it is also what do you call it? It is a blueprint. The pyramid is a blueprint to one or two things. Before I go into the one or two things, I want to talk about the Sphinx itself. The Sphinx, relative to a pyramid that it sits before, is a guardian. And the Sphinx represents like the military force that defends this social structure or hierarchy. And so nowadays we know what our military, our law enforcement looks like on every single level. It can be as minor as a security guard at a local retailer or drugstore or pharmacy, and it can rise all the way up to, like, I don't know if I should say certain words, certain defense. I don't want to say no words and they be flagging me and acting crazy. Major defense across the world. We have police officers. We have the alphabet folks. We have, again, the various branches of service, those kind of things. The Sphinx is uh, a representative of those standing law enforcement agencies that defend the established social hierarchy all over this globe. You know how it's broke down. Let's see. To me, the pyramids in Egypt are Earth time clocks. In a way, yes, they are, and I'm gonna cover that a little bit. I don't know if I remember to say Earth time clock, but as soon as they wither away, then the Earth will cease to exist. That's an interesting concept. That's an interesting concept. That's a real interesting concept. Okay. Now, I share what the Sphinx are and what they represent. Remember, I was saying that I was stating a fact, and the fact is that pyramids are all over this world and are on every continent. They're even said to be in the depths of the water, on the water base, the seabeds and things like that. It has been thousands of years that the global social hierarchy that I speak about has been under construction or being planned out. Thousands and thousands of years. And the thousands and thousands of years, it is that time, knowing the time period is interesting to me. And some of my research and it was just preliminary because I just started getting I lose track of time when it started happening, but I'm gonna say maybe an hour. I'm gonna say because I lose track of time when I get that kind of information or download. But the preliminary research that I began suggests that it's been a couple of thousand years that this system, this global hierarchy system, has been being developed, and those many pyramids are the blueprint of the plan. The plan for this global um, social hierarchy not only has been known for thousands and thousands of years, it has been known all over the world by those that held seats of power. All over the world, they knew. All over the world, they built the pyramid as what do you call it, like a reminder of um, I can say maybe in some cases it depends because, oh, I received a lot of information. A beacon of hope, depending on how you look at it. But it's a reminder. When I say it's a reminder to all continents, to all what nationalities, however you like to label us when we're divided, basically by the continents. And it just lets every generation know beyond a shadow of a doubt that see, this is the thing when it comes to this pyramid, the pyramids, that the common men and women, the laypersons, weren't highly educated people and they weren't privileged. So many of them, just like now, weren't conscious. They weren't aware. But those that held seats of power and were prestigious, they were usually more privileged. They were more in the know. They were more conscious. So I'll say, I call them the elitists. Even several thousand years ago, the elitists were aware that this plan was under development all over the world. Oh, how can I say this? Again, this is a study session. Taking my time. It's in Giza, Egypt. That's where this one is. You go, okay, in Giza. Giza. George says he Googled it, this particular pyramid in Sphinx, and it's in Giza. Okay. Thank you. Because I'm supposed to be citing, right? So, again, the entity still hasn't talked to me. Like, I can hear when they are masculine or feminine. I can hear if they're negative or a more positive entities. This one hasn't talked. It's worked with me with images. So I continue. And that's probably why I'm having a hard time recalling, because I have to think of the images. So I can't answer, at least right now, how every continent throughout history knew to build a pyramid or multiple pyramids. I can't say. Maybe, just maybe, in my extensive study, I'll discover that. And so far, what I have shared is that, once again, that the pyramid is a blueprint for um, the global hierarchy of humans, and it has been known all over the world for thousands of years. The Sphinx itself is a guardian or security and is a representative of our law enforcement or military forcements. It doesn't matter what time period um, in the history of humanity. The Sphinx represented that, like, there must be a military. It must be a military in place, or uh, law enforcement services in place to defend the structure behind, well, in front of me. Where is that? Over here. To defend the structure. Now, the structure. I'm still sharing the information I got before I start doing the research. I ain't even started the research yet. Okay. Now, what I want to show you is, I don't know how this is going to work. But, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try. Mm, Here. I'm going to do that. But I'm going to do this. Y'all work with me. I'm just chilling. If y'all ain't got nothing to do. Okay, how do I, where's it at? Hmm. That is not it, is it? No, it's this one. Okay, yeah. This one. My cat's acting a fool again. Okay. Oh, I can't do it. Which one is this? Okay. The only way I could possibly do this and it be effective is to I think you can see what I'm doing. And I'm moving slow, steady, intentional. Oh shoot. I'm on the wrong thing. I have the images overlaid. I think you can make out that I still have the original initial picture up. I just cropped the Sphinx off, left the pyramid, and then in the background, I pulled up the dollar bill. On the dollar, there is this pyramid, just like the pyramids in Egypt, in Giza, and Cairo, and all over the world, under the waters. Here is the a pyramid on our dollar. Why is it there? Remember, it is a reminder of the development, this blueprint, this plan of building a global social hierarchy. So at this time, was it something I'm supposed to say? See, I can't say that yet. So, mm, they open up to the hierarchy. Mm. It's time to talk about the hierarchy. The pyramid, remember, is a representation of the what? Uh, it is the development of a global social hierarchy. At the bottom of the pyramid is the layperson. A layperson is just a common Jane or Joe. They are the typical everyday person. Well, I typed into Google, which you can't see, and I was just trying to look up the definition for layperson, and it is defined as a non-ordained member of the church, somebody that ain't special. It's just an old plain parishioner, a partaker in the services. In this case, we're talking about the service of what? Of life, of being in this particular world at any given time. It also is defined as a person without professional or specialized knowledge in a particular subject matter, layperson. So, as you can see, what number one, let me remind you, this is a study session. I'm just showing you how I get my information, and this is my third attempt, so I'm gonna move slow and steady. I appreciate you dropping by here to Can Angels Fly Tarot, and more while I'm live. And tonight we're doing a live study session. I began this live stream with a picture of a pyramid, possibly from Giza, that shows the Sphinx in front of it. I gave the preliminary excuse about why it exists, about the pyramid being a social hierarchy and the Sphinx being the military force. It is a reminder, and that reminder is for those that are elitist and sit in seats of power. The development of this system that I've spoken of has been known of and been built upon for several thousand years. And when I get to the time periods, I'll show you how I gathered some information about the time periods. Okay. Then I cropped that image, took off the Sphinx, the military, and just let you see and focus on the pyramid, because that's the global social hierarchy, or even the hierarchy in your immediate area. It consists of us all. But overall, it's the global, the whole world social hierarchy. Now, oh, and I was showing it on the dollar bill to show how it is now commonplace. It's right in front of us, and we do not understand why it's there, really. Yeah, again, I talked about a video I made, I think in 2016, talking about your ass is grass due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme. You can go over there and check out the little bit that I had to say about the pyramid then. It is offered also in the cards attached to this live stream somewhere. The next thing I did was overlay this white pyramid on top of the Giza pyramid, on top of the pyramid, on top of the dollar. And now I have a pyramid so that I can write on it in order, or type on it to show you that that global social hierarchy. I started at the bottom. Okay. The bottom. Who are the bottom persons? It's the lay person. I read the definition to what layperson means, and it's a person without professional or specialized knowledge in a particular subject matter. Remember a little earlier in this live stream, I was saying that the elitists, no matter what period in the history of humanity that they existed, they were privileged. They were more in the knowing. The layperson was not privileged, never has been. And I don't want to say projected into the future, but they haven't been. They haven't been privileged. They haven't been knowledgeable. They haven't been experts or professionals in any area. Their level of consciousness has been limited. Who are the laypersons? Laypersons exist all over the world. They exist on every single continent. I forgot how many continents is it, 7 or 9, but they're all over the place. I am considered a layperson, and it's possible that you may be too. And the next thing, now I'm not going to act like I have gone on done all the research, but to fill in these brackets, but let's say this is, I'll do it like this. And forgive my spelling if I misspell. I just choose that color. I'm choosing words that come to the top of my head. I'll explain. The next level, moving from bottom to the top, is what I have labeled corporate. Let me Google corporate to see what it's about. I don't know what I'm going to come up with, but I'll tell you how I meant for it to be, to me. Let's see what, dictionary online has to say. It says relating to a corporation, especially a large company or group. A corporate company or group. When that kind of works. When I talk about corporate, the next level is corporate. I'm talking about people that have acquired enough as a result of this social hierarchy. They've acquired enough to open up places like gas stations. Who works for the gas station? The person up under them. The people up under them, laypersons, work for the gas station. These corporations, like the hamburger places, have acquired enough due to this hierarchy, social hierarchy, to buy into a burger place. And who are the employees? The layperson. What other corporations? It could be hardware, major chains, where you go get your lumber from, or your screws, or your nuts, and your bolts, and your light bulbs. That's a corporation. Who works for them? When you go in there and you walking up and down the aisle and you need some help, who's working for them? A person like me, the layperson. And some people, a particular set of people, have been able to acquire a significant amount of financing in order to hold the position, the corporate position, on this global hierarchy. Now, I say global hierarchy because this pyramid has to do with the whole world. It is a global plan. It is a global plan. It was a global plan, I'll say this, that could go one or two ways. The global plan could be light, and when I say light, I mean that it could have been the perfect arrangement for a smoothly flowing existence of all human beings. Fairly smooth. When I say fairly smooth, what do I mean? Kind of jumping the gun. You know, as more and more people populated the earth, we had to get the resources, the natural resources that sustain people's lives all around the world. We had to have a system or we would perish. And the system that this pyramid represents is that plan. It is the blueprint to ensure that every living soul on this planet got their portion if it was done in light. We know that the system, this plan, the blueprint here is corrupt. And therefore, not everybody all over the world is getting what they need, even though the system was developed to make sure that there was a successful and smooth distribution of all the life-sustaining resources people need. Now, remember, this is a study session. Right now, I am just sharing the information that I received um, from, let's say, the Akasha records. And this portion right here, as I write the different levels in, uh, is a part that's what I spoke about in that video that I've referred you to, which is your as is grass due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme. So I gave this is what I covered. On with the corporations. It's no way that I can cover every corporation, and that's just a vague label that I'm using for those that have somehow, some way gained enough financial pool through this plan to own a corporation, a major business that employs the layperson under them. The corporation has something that they're going to distribute to the layperson. What is the corporation going to distribute to the layperson? Initially, it was just those basic life-sustaining resources: food, medicine, supplies for shelter, workers to help build things, those kind of things. That's what they provided. Corporations are realtors, different realtors or property managers and things like that. What do they distribute to the layperson? They distribute shelters, places to live, apartments and houses and condos and lofts and studios. That's what the corporation has to give to the layperson, especially nowadays. I point out, what did the layperson begin with? Before I move up this hierarchy, what did the layperson begin with? The basic, everyday man and woman. What did they begin with? Nothing but their life. It is not until we get to the level of the corporation that we start to see the resources held by those corporations and then distributed to the layperson. But I can't jump ahead. I'm trying to stay focused. The corporation. What else? Not the corporation. Just a few more corporations. It could be anything. Now, I want to talk a little bit about corporations, businesses, and small businesses and things that have branched off of this level of the hierarchy. The other day, I made a video. Heck, I don't even know what it was about. It was about, is that the air conditioner? Am I hearing water? Maybe my air conditioner took off. But I made a video about something. I don't even know what it was about. I'm sorry, y'all, that I kind of take breaks because I'm still getting messages in, so it is possible for me to channel, but I don't want to move forward and grasp the information that I'm receiving without finishing, what I've already received. Otherwise, y'all be coming in the middle of the conversation, and you know how that is. So, and I'm about to partake in my vice. So, let's see. Study sessions. I can do whatever I want doing study sessions. Corporations. I'm talking about businesses and small businesses. At this point in time in the history of humanity, I almost remember the video I made. I forgot. We have so much free time that we are having a difficult time filling that free time. Even if we work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, in comparison to 1,000 and 2,000 years ago, we got a lot of free time. Back then, the individual layperson or common man and woman prior had to get out here when the sun came up because they only had about 12 hours until it went down in order to go out into the wild, into the wilderness, we'll say, to cut, chop, cut, hunt, gather, do whatever they had to do, fish. You better figure it out before it got dark in order to make sure that they had acquired what they needed to sustain their life for that day. But nowadays, we have so much free time. The other day, I know in the video, I talked about how the Industrial Revolution brought us to this point where it freed us up. We're talking about, what do you call them, the factory line, the machine line, converter belt, freed us up. Everything what do they call it, multiple, where you create multiple things, duplicating it freed us up. And so under those corporations and businesses, now we have things that are not designed to pacify our physical, worldly necessities, such as eating, shelter. We also have businesses and corporations that are designed to help us pacify our urges and our longings. Strip clubs, movie theaters, drive-ins, Disney, I'll say amusement parks, those kind of things, corporations. But pay attention. The corporation level is always distributing something. The corporation, to the lay person, the common man and woman, the corporation level is always offering what the lay person, the man or woman needs in order to satisfy their physical, worldly wants, needs, urges, and desires. Persons, whether male or female, physical, worldly wants, needs, urges, and desires are the second house of Taurus. Just throwing that in there. I guess I did enough for the corporation right now. Nope, I ain't. No, I ain't. The layperson's relationship to the corporation is that corporation ain't gonna give not man or woman, child, old, young, yellow, black, purple, green, don't matter, fat, skinny. None of those life-sustaining resources, none of their physical, worldly wants, needs, or desires without a fair exchange. There must be a fair exchange. So how can it be a fair exchange if all the lay persons came in with and have had is just their life? What do they have to give? They have nothing to give. Or do they? The lay persons go to work for the corporation in order to earn the money so that they can buy a piece of the pie, so that they can buy medication, so they can buy the firewood, so that they can pay the corporation, the utility company, the phone company, in order to provide their physical, worldly want, need, desire, or help them pacify urge. Remember, this is a study session, y'all. I can partake in my vices. I can take my time. I can cuss. Right now, I'm looking for my pointer. And I'm going to use this one. Okay. I ain't got to be that big, do it. So, for right now, We own a corporation. So, so I'm smoking a vanilla cigar right now. Just chilling, George. Ain't it Friday? It's Friday, and I'm ready to play. See, I study hard and I party hard. I ain't partied in a long time. I got to do something. I got to do something. I ain't gonna go off in that area. I'm gonna leave it alone because that'll be a whole nother live stream. Hopefully, the live stream is moving forth smoothly. Please like, share. I can really use y'all likes. I really appreciate it. Share, and if you haven't already subscribed, please invite somebody that you know. You ain't gotta even love them no more. Just invite them because you know them. You know, you can be your enemy. Send them over here. So we've discovered that the first two levels of this global social hierarchy consist of the basic everyday person, the lay person, and the corporation. I've defined the corporations as the various businesses, small businesses, and things like that. They have they're the first level that actually begins to distribute the uh, the the, the what do I call it, the things that people need. That's the first level. Because the lay person, remember, they don't go out into the wilderness anymore from sun up to sundown. They don't do that. Nowadays, now, at this point in time in the history of humanity, it's a very, I'm sure, very small percentage, even worldwide, that really know how to get out here in nature and to, uh, cultivate the land and to harvest and do all those kind of things necessary. And to the extent. So we're talking about every day, all day long, to sustain their lives. So, but remember, this uh, blueprint, this plan, has been in effect for close to 2,000 years. Interesting number of years. Interesting number of years. Over 2,000 years. Interesting. And I say that's interesting because uh, I'm not going to jump the gun. Study session, one thing at a time, moving forward. So we learn in order for the layperson to get a piece of the pie, they got to go for work for the corporations. They got to go work for the burger joint. And the burger joint pays them what nowadays? Minimum wage, a little bit of something. Same thing they suggested back in the Pharaoh's day. All they had was a few grains of wheat to eat, a few little rags to wear, those kind of things. Mm. You go to work for the local hardware, get a couple more dollars, maybe a little above minimum wage, but it's barely enough to buy what you need to sustain your life. I should have knew this message was coming to me because yesterday I was riding in the car and I saw again, like, it's not really anything speaking right now, but more images. And what I saw is that everybody, people, most people are maxed out as far as their, what do you call it, lifestyle. Maxed out with their lifestyle. This is what I saw, heard, saw, wasn't see, heard, that most people are maxed out in their lifestyle. If a person is, sitting in poverty, that's the best they can do. If a person sitting in, average, that's the best they can do. Middle class, best they can do. Millionaire sitting wherever they sitting, the best they can do. That millionaire wants to be a billionaire. That middle class person want to be a millionaire. That average person want to be a middle class, and the poor want to be okay. Everybody is living maxed out as far as their lifestyle. It's few people that live below their means. Living below their means is something that is relevant now, and will be into the upcoming upcoming future. Real living simplistically, minimalist. You can look here on YouTube and see a crap load of videos about tiny houses and converting RVs into houses, people buying lots of land. There's a reason, and it's directly related to this global plan. So I'm gonna let the corporation go and the layperson go for right now, because then I gotta figure out the next level. What should the next level be? Who is above the corporation? What can I label them? I can label them. Oh man, I wish I knew how to spell this word. Uh, hmm, we're gonna call them. I don't want to be cruel. Gin and juice. I had some of that last week. I sipped a little something something last week. Um, that's this year is just 60-40. 60-40. My fatal. I'm advertising. I gotta stop that because they ain't give me no money. I gotta stop that. So I'm trying to think of a name for this next level. Uh, I got it. I got it. I got it. Really. I hope you can see that. I'll make it a little bigger. I'm gonna call them the investors. Eh, let me go over here. What is this spell for? What is it saying? Oh, it's just not saying that I'm live, but thanks. Okay. Did I spell that correctly? I just want the definition. Oh, is it E? Oh no. So let's see. I, for a lack of better terms, I am defining this next level as the investors. And so I've typed in investors and I want to see what investor, if that is possibly suitable by reading the definition. Investors. A person or organization that puts money into financial schemes. Your ass is grass due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme. I think that's appropriate, the word term investors. A personal organization that puts money into financial schemes, property, etc., with the exception of achieving a profit. That was supposed to be the case. With the exception of, so what is it? What is it called if they receive a profit? I started to say extortioner, but I said I ain't gonna do that. So okay. This is a study session. If you just came in, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm slow rolling, partaking in my vices, and doing what I do. Why am I doing this live stream? Because I started receiving a download, and so I wanted to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, what a download looked like. So, investors. Who are the investors? How do I define them? Now, the investors are people. I'm gonna have to move up and come back to the investors. I'm gonna throw some in here for lack of. Let's see. Okay, I'll use that color. Did it take it? No, I didn't take the color. Okay. Oh, that's too close. Need y'all to basic. Can't make that too small. And then I'll put the last one in. It's like that song from the group. I don't know that group. Be a simple kind of man. Be a simple kind of man. Be that Capricornian energy. You know, Capricorn is broken up into three parts, and the frontal part is that simple kind of man. Simple kind of man. Yeah, I think I spelled that right. Okay, just chose some words. Don't know they're appropriate. Well, we did the investors, and it's appropriate, significant. It'll suffice. Now I want to look up administrators to see if that's possibly suffice. Um, let's see. An administrator is defined by the online dictionary through Google as manage or be responsible for running a business and an organization. It'll suffice. What organization are we talking about relative to this subject matter? We're talking about the global hierarchy. What do they call it? Global. Write it down, Nancy. This is a study session. We're talking about the global hierarchy. That system, that organization. You know, it also is defined administrator as dispense or apply. Dispense, wonderful word. I think that administrators will suffice. Because remember, it's all about what? The distribution or the dispensing of what all people in this physical world need in order to address or to pacify their physical worldly wants, needs, desires, and urges. And at the top, we have the term elitist. Let me just check the definition so that all is recorded. What is an elitist? Elitist is defined as relating to or supporting the view that a society or system, what are we talking about in this live stream? We're talking about a system. What system? We're talking about a global hierarchy. So I reread the definition to the term elitist. Relating to or supporting the view that a society or system should be led by an elite. Another definition for the term elitist is a person who believes that a society or system should be ran, be led by an elite. Same thing almost. Okay. All right. He's saying at least not drinking Mad Dog 20. Oh, no, no. You trying to kill somebody. Somebody trying to kill themselves with that. Ooh-wee. Gut wrenching. Mm-mm. I had some of that one time. Ooh-wee. Young and risque. Not no more. Mm-mm. I'm old and cautious now. Young and risky or old and cautious. Okay, now we're going back to our, if I can. Okay. We talked about the layperson, the corporation. I entered investors here. We skipped investors and put the remaining uh, levels of this social hierarchy in with administrators and elitists. I need to talk about, I guess I go to the top now. The top. The elitists. Who are the elitists? The elitists, I believe, are worldwide. They exist on every continent. I believe the elitists have nothing to do with race, but it's possible, based on how things are set up, especially nowadays, that there are particular races that hold more, I'll say, affluent roles than other races. That's a fact. Or it seems to be a reality. Can't say it's a fact, but it seems to be a reality. So it is possible that the elitists, the bulk of the elitists, may be predominantly that particular culture, race, race. But I have no evidence, just presuming. I believe that even though it may be predominantly one race, I believe that the elitist is composed of all races and nationalities, whatever the blend is. The elitists to me are defined by their bloodline. These are people that for 2,000 years at least have ensured that whoever was their descendants came into this world and their, what they call it, a dowry, or the legacy that they received consisted of understanding this physical realm, understanding what real wealth is. Wealth is not what a layperson can work for. It is not. Wealth is only a small, very small percentage of what the corporation can distribute to the layperson. Wealth exists primarily with the elitist. Is it messing up? The elitists and the administrators. Why? Number one, we have to know what real wealth is. Real wealth, we've talked about it, is any and all the natural resources in this physical world. It is the natural waters and all of the aquatic life, the fish, the seaweed, whatever is down there. That is wealth. In oysters, they say that there are pearls. Pearls have healing properties. Octopus has ink. Octopus ink is also a part of what makes up anesthesia. Wealth is down in the caves and the caverns. They are the minerals, the crystals, the quartz, etc., etc. Wealth is the air that you breathe. Wealth is all the green vegetation, the grass, every flower of every uh, of every type, every tree and every type. All of these things are what real wealth are. Wealth is anything that does what? Sustain your physical life. Wealth is anything that can pacify your physical, worldly wants, needs, your needs, those requisites to live. That's what the elite is coming here learning off rip. They're not like the lay person. They don't go to basic, public school or private schools and get that kind of education. The kind of education a layperson receives is merely to prepare them to have to do service for the corporations. That's it. You learn how to type. You learn how to write. I don't know what field you're going to be in the corporation. On the corporation level, it could have been you might be a lawyer. You're gonna go learn how to do the law. You're gonna be a doctor. You're gonna learn how to do the doctor thing on the corporate level. Those kind of things. You're gonna be a bricklayer. You're gonna learn how to lay bricks or whatever. If you go to trade, either it's education or trade. That's the kind of education the layperson gets, moving from the bottom to the top. But at the top, one learns how to survive this physical realm. When we start talking about the elitists, we're talking about people that are very cultured. They travel the world. They know the differences that exist. They um, they are usually, proficient in like archery, being an archer, like Sagittarius. They do fencing with the swords. Aquarius, all the air signs. You can think of it like that. They are taught. They know how to hunt. They hunt with the hounds and shooting and things like that. They are learning to survive this ramp, even though they're on this elitist level. But that's what makes them elitists. Pay attention. What the elitists are educated on from the moment they become conscious, with consciousness for learning starts, I guess, about 4 or 5, probably with them a little early, are things that most lay persons are never introduced, rarely introduced to. If they are introduced to such things, it's usually as a hobby because the parent hunted and maybe the parent came from an older generation or the grandparent was around. They learn to hunt. Or they learn to be an archer using bow and arrow or to fence. Not many people fence, but some people end up fencing. Doing those things that can sustain your life or save your life are usually only taught to the layperson or learned by the layperson because there's someone of the older generation that has introduced them to it, to introduce them to it, and it is usually in a form of a hobby. So we know who the elitists are. The elitists don't work with money like the layperson does. That money that the layperson gets from the corporation so that they can buy little crumbs of those life-sustaining resources. The elitists deal upfront and personal with the natural resources. But all down through the years, it was no way that these elitists, these very knowledgeable people, these very conscious people, this particular bloodline, could excavate and cultivate the natural resources in life. They wasn't going to do all the work. So what did they do? They said, "Oh, we got to have, all that we need. We need to have the medicine. We need to know what the medicine is. We got to have the medicine. We got to know what on this earth we can eat, no matter where we are. We need to know that. We need to know what we shouldn't eat. We need to know this. We need to know that." And so what they did was they hired particular people over time. Remember, we're talking about 2,000 years. So I'm kind of summarizing so that I can get to, right now, what am I talking about? I'm kind of sharing what I talked about again in that video I've referred you to. That's what I'm kind of covering right now relative to the pyramid. And how this pyramid is a global hierarchy, you know, a plan for a plan for a the plan for the global hierarchy that has been in development for over 2,000 years and is up and running. Oh, this live stream will be so long, and I know it's early and late, but I'm gonna keep on going because I'm studying. I'll be up anyway. Let me take a break to read the chat. And George said the elitists, the Rothschilds, and the Bilderbergs, which I've heard about. And you rarely ever see those people. They are not going to let you know where they at and who they really are. And you got to think about it. They have descendants and they have millennials. I've talked about that in prior live streams too. The Europeans invented the concept of race, did they? I have to research that, but I never heard that. But thank you for the information. They invented the term manifest destiny, really, meaning they have the right to take over any culture, resources that are not governed by Christian values. Wow. Yeah, that I like that. Manifest destiny. You make it how you want to make it, and that's what the elitists have done. Manifest destiny. They manifest their destiny, and they were able to do so because they know what real wealth is. They know what real wealth is, and they learn it from birth. And okay, so now the elitists are aware. Again, I'm summarizing over 2,000 years worth um, of dealings and things like that. So. You got to remember that this system was supposed to be a divine system in order to make sure that all the people, all the living souls in this world received what they needed to help sustain their life. And as we who, every individual that created humanity advanced in life, we advanced due to technology. As we advanced, it was supposed to get easier for us in this realm. But along the way, the whole system became corrupted. Okay. So the elitists realize that it's no way that they could learn this whole physical realm. It was no way that they could test everything they learned on their own. It was no way that they could catalog everything on their own. It was just no way. Originally, it was no way that the elitists or the people that were the heads of state, will say, that were granted or what's the word, ordained ordained to be an elitist. They were ordained. Even the elitists today have been ordained to be elitists. They are uh, in contempt. They are spiritually in contempt. But anyway, so they were ordained to be in the positions of power that they are. They have the responsibility of doing what? Distributing all the resources to every living soul in order to help sustain their life. And when humanity overall advanced due to technology and life survival grew easier, we're supposed to still distribute fairly uh, those resources as well as, with the advancement to it so that it would be easy for all. But the system, of course, again, is corrupt. So now the elitists, back to the elitists and how they are ordained to do their job, and then corruption. Elitists are all over the world, all races, and it's just the elitist is defined by being in a particular bloodline that receives the legacy of consciousness about this physical realm. Boom. Are aware that they can't do it all, that they can't pull it all. So what do? They enlist the label, or what I have labeled as the administrator, those right up under them. So remember, we talked about an administrator, and an administrator, I got to go back and read it because it's been a minute. Uh, Remember, an administrator is defined as uh, manage and manage and be responsible for running a business or organization. This pyramid, the blueprint, the plan. They're responsible for executing the plan, and how are they and dispense or apply. The administrator was commissioned by the elitists, the people that really knew. And I missed something. Oh, I know what I did. There it goes. So we have the elitists who enlist or commission the administrators. This has been over 2,000 plus years now. It's still going on, and it is. I'm not going to jump the gun. Stop. To over 2,000 years. So the elitists down through the timeline of humanity has uh, commissioned the administrators to come in and said, "Okay, I need you to manage this whole system. We got to feed everybody. We got to clothe everybody. We got to house everybody, and we can't all do it. We got to have these resources excuse me, excavated. We have to have these resources refined. We have to have these resources distributed. We can't do it all. We need a whole team of administrators across the world. And so the administrators are to do what? Set up multiple divisions, whatever they may be. Let's talk about some of the different administrations that they may have to set up. They may have to set up these are broad branches. Medicine, medicine. What's it called? Herbistry or something? Herbal, being an herbalist. Uh, Dealing with herbs and the foliage and the, what do you call it, the wildlife, those kind of things. Go find out what is out here in this physical realm over 2,000 plus years. Go find out what's out here in this realm. What is this tree? What does this tree do? Oh, this particular maple tree, if you tap it, it'll give you maple syrup, discovered at some point in time in the history of humanity through their expeditions, planned expeditions in order to explore this physical world for its contents, for its riches. Okay, go over here and find out what the octopus, what did I share? The octopus has ink, and the octopus has a part of its chemistry is a part of what helps to create the anesthesia. Well, you know that. And then we have to administer it. Okay. Then it's the just examples. We figure out all the fish in the waters, what can be eaten, what can't. Don't eat that blowfish. You can eat perch, you can eat tripe, you can eat catfish. Pay attention. Even to nowadays, our menus are so extensive that we have fish that is high end fish, like I think it's called walleye, orange, orange roughy, and different bass, black sea bass, high end, very very expensive fish. Fish. Then they have cheap fish. You got some smelt, some catfish, the bottom feeder. They eat the algae, those kind of things. So again, our menu is extensive. And so these administrators were a part like of setting up scientific research, uh, cataloging, those kind of things. The administration level was a part of setting up the various branches of knowledge, philosophy, music, tones, all kind of things with the administration, all for the purpose of serving the elitist command to be able to go out here, discover the resources in this physical world, and understand how to use them, how they could assist us, or if they would be detrimental to them. And then after that is discovered, then we have what I deem the investors. And remember, investors talks about people that put money forth. So who would be an example of putting money forward? Now the investors, now the administrators have found all of this out. Like NASA has found whatever they found out, whatever their division is, science, or what do you call it, astronomy, or space research or whatever. And so now, what do you do with that information? See, that's where the investors come in. What do you do when you find out a maple tree uh, gives maple syrup? What do you do? You find investors to go out and do what? Harvest the maple from the tree. And then once they set up the factories to harvest, they invest in the factories to harvest the maple, to split the lumber, or whatever the case may be, to extract the medicine, to extract the ink, to pull up the rubies, the gems, the pearls. What you gonna do next? Well, now you gotta refine it. And so then we start getting the corporations that start refining it and shifting it down. Should maybe be one more layer, because we need people that got to refine it. The investors, I guess, can be a part of the refining process, refining that maple, refining or blending that anesthesia, and then the corporations get it. The hospitals get the administration. I mean, the hospitals get the am, what do you know? Anesthesia. The grocery stores get the maple syrup. The farmers markets get the maple syrup. We're living in a corporate time. Remember, this has been over 2,000 years, so it could be slightly tweaked depending on what period we're talking about. And so this right there, if I explained it well, is this global hierarchy that has been developing for over 2,000 years. Every culture knew, every continent was aware that there was going to be, and that it was being developed, again, a global hierarchy. What was it next? Okay, was it anything else? Oh, I'll say this because I forget, and I don't know how long I'll continue. I just want to kind of share, and I want to go into a little bit of my study. Again, I just been dealing right now with that, what I introduced in that video that I referred you to. I didn't even go into it in this extensive, but this is what it was about. So, um, one thing that I think is really important for me to point out here, if you really pay attention, that poverty does not come from the layperson. It does not come from the typical Jane and Joe, the which they call it a simple man. It doesn't, or simple woman. It doesn't come from them. It does not come from them. Remember, the simple man and woman merely came in here with just their life. That's it. And depending on what time period a person was born into this physical realm, determines if they were the people that got out here and went and got it themselves and discovered it, explored themselves, or if they weren't permitted to. This pyramid, as you know, a pyramid is made of three sides. One, two, three, four sides. It is a solid structure. A pyramid is supposed to be known, check this out, as the most stable shape, I'll say shape in existence. The most stable shape in existence. This structure, this global hierarchy was designed to last. This global hierarchy is suggested through I didn't lock that in. This global hierarchy um, was developed, the plan, the blueprint, for it to be the most stable structure in all of mankind's or humans' existence. It was built to last. Slow and steady. Over 2,000 years, they constructed the system that now governs our lives. Those sides, now the base of the pyramid itself is your back. If you if you can relate to being a lay person, the bottom of the pyramid is your back. It is all your hard work that you have to do in order to buy into getting some of the crumbs of those natural resources that sustain our lives. The size of the structure itself are the boundaries and the limits in which we find ourselves confined in. It is why we are stressed and compressed and pressurized. We can't get out of that structure. It was built to last. The most stable structure ever. We can't get out of it. You can't get out of it. You can't go back. I made a video before that talked about when Pandora's box is open, you cannot close it. The structure has been established. You cannot get out of the structure. Got something to talk about. Got one more thing, y'all. I keep moving. Can't get out the structure. When I say get out the structure, get out the pyramid, it means to be able to go back and live one with nature. To get up when the sun come up and to go to sleep when the sun go down. Just to do it the next day and the day after that for all of your life in order to see or address your physical worldly needs. Understanding you can't get out that structure. Before that structure is the Sphinx. Remember, the Sphinx represents the military, the law enforcement that is created, built, and mounted up, ready to protect the pyramid, the structure, the global social hierarchy. It don't matter what continent you're on. It's all one plan for world organization, like that. The pyramid, don't matter which one, anyone all over the world, in the water. Pyramids with the Sphinx are all the blueprint and the plan for world organization and distribution. But because the system became corrupted due to man's hearts, their works end up making this blueprint become a plan for world domination. Stopping, taking a break to go over here, read the chat, sip me some pop, some 60/40, and then I'm going into the next part. This is just now I'm about to go into what I started studying after I started receiving the download. So far, we had two parts. I done talked about the onset of the download or the opening of the Akashic records, giving me information. At least that's how I assumed it perceived it to be. And then what we just got through was when I talked about that part I just did a little bit in that video. Now we're about to go into the preliminary research I began to do once I received that information. So, maple syrup discovered by the Native Americans in Northeast. In the Northeast, really? You're really knowledgeable, George. Maple syrup, that makes sense, though. That makes sense. That makes sense. That really makes sense. That will be something that they ended up tapping into. That makes sense. As a Michigander, and yep, the Native Americans being a part of the earlier, timeline, that really makes sense. So let's see. The next thing is I'm gonna close this out. Where are you at? And in order to bring up and I got to remember how my mind followed this one. House of Cards. One thing that I forgot to say when I had the other pyramids up is that the very top, the elitists, I've heard, the world's population, the elitists are only either is 1 or 2% of the total world's population. The total world's population is approximated, I think is the word, estimated to be between 7.5 billion people to 8 billion people. And the elitists, those that know what real wealth is and knew it since they came into this realm, are only 1 to 2% of the world's population. And they are what? Of all cultures, races, and nationality. So that 1 or 2%, those elitists, that very tip of the pyramid, even here with this deck of cards, I ain't locking in. Hold on, gotta lock it in. Maybe I did that right. Or maybe I did. Mm. The very top, up here, the elitists. Excuse me. Um, how can I say? I guess I can say, when you deal with, I guess, geometry, you can look at, now how did that bug get in here? I know I kept seeing something just popped up in here. I guess the air conditioner pulled it in. Please don't bite me. The very top of a triangle or a pyramid, the very top of it, the very 1% or 2% of that pyramid is another pyramid or triangle. Mm. No, that's not what I want. Not that one either. I know what I want. This one. I know this is a long live stream. I'm not sleepy. So, yeah, I'll follow my studies. If you can't, stay the whole time, that's cool. But I ask you to come back, whenever you can, finish watching the live stream. Whatever I don't finish, as I finish researching the subject matter, I'll probably make another video. And you can gather all the information and think about it. Not to say it's one you watching. Oh, you back? I'm so happy you made it in safe. You just be on the road. You be like on the road again. You just can't wait to get on the road again. But I'm happy you're back with me. Because what time is it? It's only 1 o'clock. See, I stay up to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning sometime, and I go to sleep and wake up about 10. I don't sleep a lot. So the reason why I pulled up the dollar bill with the pyramid on it was to crop it, as you see, and all I cropped off was the top 1% or 2%, whatever it is, of the pyramid that is on the dollar. And what you see is a glowing eye, the all-seeing eye. Is it a God who is omnipresent, or is it the system that has been under development for over 2,000 years? Most of us are aware that our level of technology is now permitting those elitists and those people that are administrators to um, uh, pierce into our personal lives. There's no privacy, no privacy. We have everything two-way receiving videos. You're watching me. I can chat with you. If I go Skype, we can see each other. So they're piercing into our lives. We have all type of credit cards that they get a list of what we purchase, when we purchase it, how we purchase it. We have things on our cell phone that track where we go, and you can look back over here on one of these things on here, and you see everywhere you done went, how long you've been there, etc., etc. Will get you hurt. You know what I'm saying? But that is the all-seeing eye. And so, people that are religious, I was in a religion, I talk about it, and how one day I woke up because of what the voices and the Kashi records, Whoever wanted to share messages with me began to share messages with me. They always did, but it wasn't until I got older and mature that came to understand what I was experiencing. Uh, I've talked about that first initial um, eye-opening discussion, and it was about natural resources, and that's what led me out of the church. Uh, After that was revealed to me in detail, and and so here we are again, and I bring up the church because we talk about the church talks about yes.
Can I go to Walmart?
Well, who?
With them.
This
one just came on.
Oh Lord, it is 1:30 in the morning. And who car is that?
Hers.
That's her truck. Wow, and she worked. So when do she go to work?
She worked. That's why I don't go over there like early.
How long y'all gonna be gone?
Not long. It's Walmart.
Seat belts, no drugs, no drinking, all that kind of stuff. Who going? You, her, and who?
George, her little sister.
Where her baby?
At home. With his grandma.
With the grandma. Ain't grandma baby. Oh, but it's late. Okay. No drinking, no drugs, no wild ride, no fasting, no running through lights, all that. Put your seatbelt on, please. And I hope y'all ain't gone for too long. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, lock the door. Okay. Is Mike here?
Who, Mike here?
Uh-huh.
No, she left again. Don't want to do it.
Oh, maybe she just leave the door unlocked. Just close it up.
I'm back the screen. Come on.
Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I apologize. We'll hang out at the Walmart. Walmart open is late. I ain't been out in so long. Thanks, love. Just can't wait. Love that song. It's fun to stay up all night. I'll be up all night long doing something. I'm always doing something. There's always something talking to me, informing me about something. I'm like, and if that ain't it, then I worry about real life in the world. Like, don't talk to me. I don't want to hear nothing. I want to hear what I need to hear to handle this. I don't know what that little bug is. What was I talking about? The RCNI. Oh, talking to religious folk. Being really, hardcore religious folks. I do believe it's a place for religion and religious as far as practices and philosophies and things. I just think that we've been miseducated. I think we were misled intentionally. I think the messages were given to us distorted because I can go to the King James Version Bible and I can decode most of what I learned in the church now, and now it makes sense, and I can shift parts of the world. Am I shifting it to the level in which I can rise from where I am into an elitist? No. The system wasn't set up for us to rise from one level to the next. It was not. But that's a whole nother video, so I'm not going to go there. The Aussie and I, back to the religious, is again, when in the church, I was Christian, Catholic, Jehovah's Witness, I was everything. Uh, um, I learned that God was all seeing, that He was omnipresent, and the truth about who God is revealed here at the top of this dollar. I talked about it. It's the elitist. It's the elitist, and how do they watch us? How? Well, first it was the military and the various executives and the corporations. Again. Oh, what I forgot to say is the whole pyramid represents a kingdom, like in the Bible, in the kingdom. Remember how Jesus ran into the wilderness and he was confronted about a devil, and the devil said, "I will give you any kingdom you want. You just name it." And Christ said, "I deny it. I refuse it." Well, this is the kingdom that they're talking about. These major corporations that deal with each natural resource and the breaking down of it to prepare it supposedly for distribution. However, it's been hoarded. It's been extortion. We're under extortion, extreme global extortion. Ooh, they going. But I'm gonna tell it all. I'm gonna tell it all. The Spirit give it to me. I'm gonna tell it all. Hell, they didn't held me back so long. What does it matter? Uh, and so Christ said, "No, I give you this kingdom. I give you this kingdom." These are the kingdoms that Bible was talking about. Each of those kingdoms. Again, we have kingdoms that deal with oil. I talked about it in that video. Oil. We have kingdoms that deal with again the sea, the creatures in the water. We have kingdoms that deal with like forestry and lumber and things and breaking it down. Those are kingdoms. And there is a ruler over those over the kingdoms. It is those administrators, those people that are responsible for hiring or commissioning or those to go harvest the things, to learn how to use the things, harvest the cattle. These are the leaders of the kingdoms. They are the people that did accept the kingdom. We can say from the devil, from the devil. But you can go watch that video. Again, it's called Your Ass Is. No, that one. Yeah, your ass is grass due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme. That's the one. So another thing I want to talk about relative to this this particular picture, this cropping of the top of the dollar, this 1 to 2% of the top of the dollar, this isolated triangle, how it glows and illuminates. Not only is it the light or the beacon or the reason that all of this is happening, they started this again, this plan. They laid this blueprint. They see all things. Another thing is that, and I'm jumping to what is soon to occur, is that this top pointer to the dollar, to the pyramid, is represents the time period uh, in which, number one, these people do become God. Transhumanism. That's why. Uh, it represents the glowing, and if you really look at it really close, if you get time, magnify it on your phone, this pyramid is levitating over the bottom half of the remainder of the pyramid. It is levitating. It is not attached. These people are not attached to us emotionally nor physically. They're not attached. Again, Bilderbergs or whatever they is, Rothschilds, you really don't know who these people are. They just became popularized and trendy in the last, I guess, 5 or so years, you know. But we don't know who they are really. We don't know who their children are and their millennial grandkids are or great grandkids are. We don't know them. These people are separate from us now. You have to remember, huh?
Right. But I told them never mind. We just sitting at the fire and wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, it's kind of late. Why don't y'all? Yeah, now it gives y'all something to do tomorrow.
Hmm?
That gives y'all something to do
That's why I
tomorrow.
said let's sit at the fire still.
Okay, set up a plan tomorrow. A conscious plan. Um, the next thing is oh god dang, 'cause I ain't got no more. Pearl. Oh Lord, that ain't gonna work. Please like, share if you haven't already. Subscribe. If you're interested in offering me a love offering, that is financial support, look below this live stream or any live stream that I make. And my PayPal me link is below the video. Actually, below this live stream will be my Cash App me link. Cash App me link. Shoot, if you got Cash App, just tap your phone and send me something. Hold on, y'all. I'm about to go through because I didn't know I was just completely out. I ain't called this phone. Let me see. Mhm. Another thing about this all scene, I remember it is not attached. I actually look at your. See, I knew it was a lie. I knew it was a lie. I knew it was a lie. I'm about to go. Hold on, y'all. I'm about to go turn up because I got lied to. Now I'm about to act the fool. And I'm going to take a bathroom break. I got to get on up. Triple X, y'all. Triple X. Drop $1 for the Triple X on the Friday night. You ain't got to go to the strip club. I'll be right back.
Yeah, take my phone so you can call.
Oh, okay. I'm back. I'm back. I had to take a bathroom break. Great point. They are detached, but not so detached. They still obviously need our energy. That's the last comment I want to make about this detached triangle, or the 1 to 2% of the world's population, the elitists, that they are so detached. But you say they still need our energy. The time is coming that they no longer need the remainder of the pyramid's energy. They don't need the administrator, because there's nothing else that they will be uh, uh, learning at this point in time. Well, not at this point in time, but soon, very, very soon. There's nothing else that they will be learning about this physical realm, nor categorizing and testing and things like that. As we are reaching a pinnacle, um, as far as this physical world, in which it's time for it to recalibrate itself. Gaia, Gaia. It's time for Mother Gaia to recalibrate herself. In that video I referred you to, I talk about how the earth is sick. We know that she's sick. We know that she is going through a lot of turmoil. Uh, the butterfly effect exists. Everything from, the melting glaciers, icebergs, and different things like that. Due to all the excavations that we did, remember we over harvested uh, the physical, the earth, the subterranean um, parts of the earth, the caverns and things, over excavated them, and therefore they are shifting. They're refilling. That's part of her being sick. And then plus our contaminants, we bought certain things together in this world to create uh, something. Example, we took, I'll say, item A and put it with item B and item C, and we created plastic, and now we can't get rid of it. There's certain things that should have not been created, and at a particular time in the creation process, the creators were aware that it was a contaminant to the physical world. And so, what am I saying? There's certain things that have been created in this world, like nuclear bombs, plastic. Uh, I think about a lot of medicines. What do we do with all of these medicines that are being created by the pharmaceutical companies? Psychiatric medicines, heart medicines. People don't take all of them. Other people pass away, or they don't get used, and they're flushed down the toilet, thrown in the garbage, dropped down in the land. I was talking the other day um, about here. Oh, y'all be very careful out there. Y'all need to stay right around the house. I was talking about funerary matters, talking about the embalming fluid, um, and the caskets and different things like that being put in the ground. It's not going to stop decomposition. It's not going to bring a person back once their physical vessel has, expired or broken down, however you like to look at it. But so why use all of these harsh, you know, chemicals and things like that? Because polyurethane and anything else they mix and do all into the earth, and so the earth is really sick, like we would be sick, and so she has to adjust herself, and that's what the elitists are aware of too. They are very aware of that, and where the rest of us are not. And so now we have our doomsday prepper, people prepping for different reasons, all kind of things. Then you got people going to get little tiny homes and stuff, and they're giving up those big old houses. The upper middle class people giving up them big houses and stuff. The newlyweds getting a little tiny house and redoing the mobile home, renovating it, or you know, reconfiguring it to be a home, because they know that it is time for her to resettle herself. They know it. That's why the certain branches of defense have uh, bunkers and things like that. Now, all of these things are scheduled to occur soon and very soon, soon and very soon. And again, these people, these people over here, they know that, and they already detached, and they no longer use our energy. All of the works we've done, we've over harvested, we've overstocked, and they have all that matters. They have the true They don't have the medicine. I mean, they have the scientists and the specialists and the experts that know how to refine anything, any given thing. Like we'll say, just use an example of, I use that, they might flag me. The cocoa plant. The cocoa plant. I don't know, cocoa plant or cocoa, you know what I'm saying? They know how to refine that to make whatever medicines, codeine, whatever, that kind of thing. But they actually had a cocoa plant stored up. They have vaults all in multiple continents of this world that hold the various seeds to everything they've discovered in this physical realm. They have it stored up for them for thousands of years. They no longer need our backs. They no longer, and only reason, remember that were um they were anointed to their position. They just became corrupted, swayed by what? The devil, remember? I'll give you the kingdom. So they could this system, remember, it's stable. It's supposed to exist throughout all the history of humanity. It's the triangle, it's the pyramid. And so it only way they can shatter the structure now that it's put up in place is literally to destroy it. Is literally to destroy it. And so they push Earth to her limits, understanding that Earth has to reset herself. And so it will destroy the structure. They can levitate above the rest of the structure, the system, humanity. During the time of this, people deeming it pole shifts and all that kind of things. That's what it is. What's happening, and they will float up, and after it's all over, they float back down and reestablish themselves and start again with only the creme de la creme still living in this physical world. Creme de la creme. So, hi, how are you, Dr. Princess? What you doing? Late again. Now this time you are late. It's 2 hours in, but what, better late than never. Nice knockers. I told you ain't got to go out to the club. I'm right here. Ooh, smart and sexy. And long hair. I got it all. um, True, they are bored with that. That made boring. I can see that. George Lane said the earth isn't going anywhere. She will land first. Who was that? Can they see? You want me to show that? I guess I can show it. You typed it. That's right. It's so yeah. I can't show that. I cannot show that, Yanni. And you had your bell activated though. I ain't. Look at it going in and out, starting some stuff. I done heard somebody say at 2 hour mark it start messing up. Yanni, I don't know. You heard me say I can't show that. I can't show that. I can't show that. I gotta push high. I gotta push high. I gotta have that. I gotta have that. Yeah, but at 2 hours, it says people that have been hearing other creators saying at 2 hours doing the live stream, it starts kind of glitching, and that's another reason I like going live late. May not be as many people in the world. I mean, people in the world, people on here, but there is the whole world. Was I was about to say. And so, okay, I'm gonna move on from the all-seeing eye and the them not needing us anymore. And now, and you got to be tracking. You got to track me like a bounty hunter because they just won't let y'all know. Yeah, as you see, my channel is not growing at all. I have been holding. I haven't even been holding steady. I'm slowly declining back to zero. I'm close. I'm like, okay. It's the stuff I guess I talk about. I don't know, but I cannot worry about it. It just irritates me. Back to this house of cards. This house of cards. Why? Because soon and very soon the house of cards will be collapsing, and only that top 1 to 2% of the pyramid will continue to exist. It will levitate above the basic demands. Uh, they will no longer have to provide or distribute to the rest of humanity what they need to sustain their lives. None of those natural resources and that satisfy or pacifies their physical worldly wants, needs, and or desires. They don't have to do it anymore. As long as the system stays in place, that means they one way or another, they have to administer or distribute what we need in order to help to sustain our lives. If you pay attention, they are getting increasingly more selfish, we'll say. But they know that they don't have to continue to be selfish because the time is quickly approaching that the earth has to do what? Recalibrate herself. Do you know about the Georgia Guidestones? I heard something about that. Is that where it says so many people, the population on the world shouldn't top something or something like that? Yeah, because I mean, do you understand how much work is being put in to sustain every person in this world? But there is no reason that there should be any individual in this or any living soul that does not have what they need. And so it's rigid. They erase numbers. Our pain is their food. Yeah, oh yeah. Our pain is their food. They can't stand us. They can't stand us. Not right now. I mean, at this point in time, in the past, you got to remember where we came from versus where we are. When we first came up, we didn't know again what we could eat or what we could partake in. We didn't know we didn't have to use cave. We didn't have to be in caves. We didn't know. Then we found straw. We ain't had to use straw. We use wood. Then we found concrete. We found bricks. So we've come a mighty long way. Back then, back in the day, over 2,000 years ago, they didn't know none of that. They didn't know anything, none of that. And so it would have been a detriment to them and making complicating their lives just that much more had they not uh, followed what they were decreed to do. They were decreed to again to do it. They were destined to do it, but again they fell to the temptation of what we call in this in religion the devil. So. Um, Now, I started with the House of Cards next because number one, I was talking about I had to go back because of the levitation of the 1 to 2%. Right now, I'm about to go into the study and research that I started doing once I got that message and everything. Um, and I saw the House of Cards. I mentioned it in that video that I referred you to near the end. The House of Cards just fall. And it doesn't matter if you're not the top 1 to 2%, you will be wiped out when the bottom half of the pyramid falls out. Uh, so that's what the administrators on down, wiped out. That's why the middle class is supposed to be dwindling and the poor getting poorer. Remember this, poverty does not start at the bottom. Poverty starts at the top. The top were ordained to distribute the natural resources of this earth to every living soul in a reasonable and fair rationing. Everybody's going to get a rationing. They failed to temptation and became corrupted. So the poverty comes from their inability to execute what they were called to do by divinity. Wealth is really, this is where wealth is. The laymen, people like me and you, we, this level, right here, if you didn't know, is where wealth begins. The wealth that each level, oh my God, something open. Mm. The wealth that each level has, whether it's the, I don't remember how I got the levels, but we're gonna say, what is it? The corporations, the administrators. It's the corporate administrators, the elitists, and the, you know, yeah, their wealth only exists because the actual physical wealth that they can use only exists because of the lay person, because of the worker bee, man and woman, because you go to work, because you go down in the mines, because you did this, or because you did that. You know what I'm saying? It only exists because of that. It only exists because you get up and go to work, because you go sit at that desk, because you strike them keys. That's the only way the corporation, you know, can get money or flow, or that's how they get their hands on a little bit of resources that they're responsible for administering, then distributing. That's where their money coming in at. But if you don't work to bring them something, they can't give it to you. That's why a lot of people, folks be saying we have to stop working. That's why the administrators, all their resources and stuff, the reason why they digging them up is to, you know, provide it to you. But we, the administrators themselves, are not going down in the mines, is what I'm saying. They're organizing it. It's the miners that's going down there that's getting it. The miners are basic, everyday people, men and women, people that's been died of lung cancer and everything else, going down there to excavate the earth's natural resources in order to sustain their lives and the people up under their care. It was us that did it. It was the people in humanity, the lay people in humanity, that went and did all of these works and freed everything up and carried everything, this whole plan, on their back for over 2,000 years. An excellent image of it is, I know what I can do. An excellent image of it, of that whole concept, is when you see them in the Hollywood, them Egyptians carrying all them big slabs and sliding them up. That's what we did. We built all of this. We built all of this. Poverty exists now because after we did all of that, the people that were ordained, put in positions of power, this thing really getting on my nerves. Get on over there. People put in these positions of power, they became corrupted, and they failed to distribute um, evenly the natural resources that every living soul needs in order to sustain their life for the appointed time that they are here in this physical world. Now, the time period. How long? I mean, how did I start thinking about 2,000 years ago? How did I start thinking about 2,000 years ago? Let me see if I can show you where I came up with the idea. Began. This is the preliminary research. Where's that thing at? I don't know how this gonna be for real right here. I would really like to know how to use Google here while I'm live. I really would. I really, really would. I really would. Really would. And come on here. It looks so blown up. After I show this, I'm probably gonna move to get off this live because I know it's getting late. They're not letting me get any views, but I do appreciate y'all that have stayed here, and I actually like this live stream in which we have had a live study. As you can see me unfolding the information that I'm receiving from the what they call the Copsy records. Oh, my hair thinning so bad, y'all. What I'm gonna do? I need some of these worldly resources to help me with my head. Um, let me see if I can do this. Mm. House of Cards. I don't even know if this is gonna work. I'm getting tired of missing the live. I'm getting tired of you missing the live too. But long as you come in, long as you come in, I appreciate you. Let's see. I don't know if this gonna work. King of Hearts. I know it ain't. Oh, where it go? There's got to be a way to use this thing effectively. Okay. Well, I'm just do it like this. Now, you know I have over here on this side of me the stack of cards, the house of cards. Soon, very soon, the house of cards will collapse. And everything up underneath the elitists will fall. During that time period, Earth will be recalibrating herself. We will be going into a reset. You hear people talk about a reset. Oh Lord, now he got a dog. So, how did I get to the cards? Now I got to figure out what I was hearing. What was I hearing? I was asking, I'll say the entity that was giving me this information that I've shared with you thus far. How do how can we tell when this system began to be set up and who who set it up? How can we tell when the system started to be set up and who set it up? And it told me to go to the cards. I can't remember. It was something else. It was something else. And I'm forgetting something else. Let me try to move over here. Okay. It was something else too. What was it? It was something else. This has been 2 hours, almost 3 hours since I started getting the message, and I stopped after this. And so what I saw was, I know. Something else I'm supposed to put up. Let's see, it might trigger my memory. What cards? What cards? Hopefully you can see the cards and the deck of cards. Um, Hopefully you don't mess stuff up. So, do you mean in the physical realm or elsewhere? Are you talking about when I talk about getting mad? I feel like today, um, Dr. Princess, I was about 3 hours ago. I was sitting up looking for something to watch on TV, YouTube, cable, everything. And all of a sudden, I got a picture of a pyramid in my mind, and I didn't understand where it came from. And I just sat with it and kept trying to find something to watch, thinking it was going to be a fleeting, image. But it stayed. And so I started, what am I thinking about a pyramid for? Why is it in my mind? My mind's eye. And after I did that, I didn't get an answer. So I started brainstorming to see what I personally had in my personal database, mind, memory, about pyramids. And I thought about the video that I created in 2000. I think it was 16, early 16 or something like that, called "Your Ass is Grass Due to the World's Greatest Pyramid Scheme." And in that, I referenced the pyramid on the dollar. And I didn't go into a lot of detail, but I did offer a little information at the beginning of that video, in which I talk about I'll say how humanity has progressed socially. We progressed, and I talk about it from beginning to end, the whole plan. um, in more, I'll say, detail. I talked at that time about um, uh, the reform, uh, what is it, welfare reform and SNAP reform in that video. And mind you, that's about 2 years, 3 years before it was announced on the news. I talked about a lot of things in that video because I cover everything. I covered topics from the scriptures, Bible, religion, and talk about the feast of the birds, how God's gonna call all the birds of the air to a great feast. I talk about different things like that. Um, I talk about slavery, the Holocaust, and why slavery existed. Things such things like slavery existed for one reason. I believe the Holocaust existed for another reason, and that the Holocaust was like. Mm, it was like somewhat of a form, back lack of better terms, of colonization, redistribution of wealth. They say, I don't know it because I wasn't there. I'm not well versed in history, even though that was my major in college. But it was a particular type of history. I was art history. But I've heard that Jews are fairly intelligent people and well-to-do. They know how to manage their money and their resources, and how Hitler and his whole regiment stole their art, even pulling the teeth and gold settings out of their mouth, just extracting all of their wealth. Anything they had that was of wealth is what he extracted from them, using them as lab rats and different things like that. I mean, really cutting to the to the core of who these people who were at the time. And I say that because when you really look at it, it's like he was robbing them of their lives. That's your highest form of wealth. He stripped all of the wealth from them to redirect it to his own, for his own agenda. That's what it was about. And so you was asking, am I talking about? I was getting information and download from uh, the ethereal realm, or what people call it, Akashi records. At least I'm using that label because it is something that many people understand now. From where it comes, I really don't know. I don't know. I can say I can't tell if it was male or female. I kind of lean toward more masculine energy, but I didn't hear it. It gave me many images. All of the information came through in images. It didn't speak. And why at this time, I don't know. I don't know. See, those are kind of things I can't tell you. I can only share from the perspective in which I'm having the experiences that I have. And I try to be as honest and transparent as possible. Um, and I don't know why it happened. I don't know. Like I said, if I tell you any story about my life, I wasn't trying to find nothing. Like when I talk about the devil tried to buy my soul, I'm broke, black, fat. I ain't got nothing with it. I ain't no rock star. What you coming to ask about my soul from? But I was being taught and educated when that happened. So I didn't look for nothing. I ain't trying to summon nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it just happens. It just happens. And so these things come from unforeseen, unseen places or unseen realms. And some of it is positive. Some of it is negative. I hope I made that make sense. Mm. I'm downloading. Yeah, I mean, even to the point when the original information come through, we call it the label is channeling. I was channeling information as I was seeing the images. I could just start interpreting it, and so this is what kind of happened with the cards. After it was the pyramid, and I couldn't. I asked why well, I still got this pyramid in my head because it just came and just sat here, like it just sat. Could you imagine just a pyramid sitting in your mind, just sitting there out of nowhere? You're like, yeah, food, I'm here. I'm like, oh, why are you here? No answer. I told you I start going through my own index, my own Rolodex, mentally. I was like, oh, I had talked about a pyramid in that video. Once I did that, the drive, I describe it as the drive came. The drive came. And it initiated me into the research. And, receiving the download. And this is where it took me. Because in that video, I said, hey, in that video, I mean, when I made that video, I was doing some serious channeling on that. channeling on that. And here, I was, when I went through the process early, I was like, the house of cards, they gonna fall. The house of cards gonna fall. You know, like, and so I was like, okay. Um, so I was like, what do cards got to do with it? And the pyramid, and so now I'm about to take you into the line of thought that I, the breadcrumbs that was laid down that I followed. The question is, how long has this plan, this blueprint, been in the process of being developed? Remember, the pyramid is the most stable shape in this realm. Um, so when did this plan start to be, put into motion? And it said the house of cards will fall. And so, house of cards, what about cards? What do you mean house of cards gonna fall? You know what I'm saying? Okay, house of cards. Remember, they ain't talking, but I'm getting the images. House of cards gonna fall. So I started researching cards, and as a tarot, I would call it a tarot reader or a tarotist. I'm called tarotist. Um, I started thinking about the meaning of cards, and I said, oh, and with a standard deck of playing cards, the first deck of cards, traditionally, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was something else, but I stopped to do this, and it took 2 hours, 2.5 hours, so I always mess myself up, but I share. Um, is that they're the court cards. So that's why I went to Google and got this little graphic. The court cards. What do the court cards represent? Do you know that the court cards represent people that really are supposed to have existed in the history of humanity? Hmm? So if I want to understand what it means for the house of cards to fall, if I want to know who started this, what role they play, and how long it's been that this system, this global hierarchy has been set up, then I have to follow the breadcrumbs. The house of cards is falling, and I have to look at the court cards, meaning the royal family, the people in charge. And the first one I looked at is, I don't think this is one. Oh, I hate the way this is set up because I can't. I believe I looked up the King of Hearts. Yeah, I know what it was. So I'm gonna go down. Remember, live stream, I can do whatever I want, and I'm about to partake in my vices. One vice. This is 60/40 by that company. I'm not doing no advertising. Let me see. Where am I at? I'm on Wikipedia. I don't know how this is gonna go. If I, ooh, can you see? I don't think that's the one. I just feel like it would be much clearer. Yeah. Oh, no. Right there. Okay. Let's see. This is Ling. Okay. And that's why I don't be sleeping. That's why I be up all day studying this stuff, because it's quite, it's again, I want to say, call it addictive, but it's a drive. It drives you to do so. You're compelled to do so, because you want to understand the next link and the next link and the next link. So, okay, this is a link. Follow the line of thought. House of Cards will be falling soon. What is the House of Cards? What is it about these cards? Okay, whatever happened to me. Oh, the court cards. The people that are in charge answer the question because they call the shots. So who's in charge? First thing I looked at is the King of Spades. As you see, I changed the deck from the King of Hearts to the King of Spades. Is the King of Spades I first looked at. So when I put in playing cards in Wikipedia, it's this whole page of information. But what I was looking for, because I knew that the the kings and queens on the card represented real affluent characters throughout the history of humanity. I knew that from prior studies. I knew that. I knew it from being an art history major. I knew that. So, how can I say? I say that because it's not just what I know now. It is an accumulative study, or it's an accumulation of my whole life, what I know today and what I build upon. Hopefully that makes sense. That's what happens with all of us. Okay. If we let it. You say that. So now I know that the court cards represent real characters in the history of humanity. They mean something. So I go to Wikipedia and I'm looking up playing cards, looking to see who is who. And as you can see right there before you, the King of Spades is who? King David. Now, a lot of people will argue that King David of the Bible is a fictional character. He may be, but that's irrelevant because he is a King David, and whatever story corresponds with him is what is an analogy, or what do you call it? You know what I'm saying? Uh, it's an like an encoded a coded clue. It's a coded clue. So check it out. So now we on David. Let me see if I can pull it up. And you know that's supposed to be an art sculpture of King David. So I don't think I'm able to pull it up on here. I ain't gonna lie. It would make it so much easier. David. Just looking for clues. Scan reading. David, Hebrew, is described in the Hebrew Bible as the third king of the United Kingdom of Israel and Judea, after Saul and Isbal. It says in the Bible, in the Bible narrative, David is a young shepherd who gains fame. Pay attention. He gained. Listen, I think the word metaphor. Thank you. A metaphor. Dr. Princess. Okay, so pay attention. Now we're learning who King David is. He's he's the head of the suit card. It depends on what continent you own, who the king, who ruling, or who calling the shots. In this case, the King of Spades is ruling. King David, the metaphor, in the Bible, in the biblical narrative, it reads, David is a young shepherd. What does a shepherd do? Answer that. I'm not going to answer it. What does a shepherd do? Metaphor. King David, whether he's real or not, he's telling us something about this pyramid. He's a young shepherd. Then, from young, meaning born into, young, from a very young age, called to be a shepherd, who gained fame, gained some acclaim, by first as a musician, like, I don't want to jump to gun. So remember, he's a shepherd. What do shepherds do? Musician. And later, by killing the enemy champion Goliath, right? And then it goes on into the whole story, and it goes and, talk about how he took the Ark of the Covenant, how he liked Bathsheba, whatever the case is. Let me see if I can find the part, because I can't read it all. Okay, another thing we find out here, researching this particular card, is historians of the ancient Near East agree that David probably, pay attention here, probably existed about 1000 BCE. BCE is before what? The death of Christ, before Christ. So this seems the way that the timeline for humans is set up, is that there is a zero, just like a timeline, number line in math. There's a zero in the middle, and it's a negative time before Christ, and then Christ come, and then his death, and then that's the positive side. We on the positive side now. So we talking about way back there on the negative side, David existed. So if David existed 1,000 years before Christ, and we in 2000, that's 3,000 years. If we in 2019, we're talking about some 3,019 years have passed since this influence existed that helped to develop the pyramid or that global hierarchy, that plan, that blueprint. So we got to find out what David's role is. Remember, David was a shepherd. What does shepherd do? I got to answer it. The shepherd leads, guides, keep you in, within certain boundaries. That's what shepherds do to the sheep. Sheep. Okay, then he was a musician. The best I can say it, in case I can't find the writing here because of the way the page is set up, musicians are enchanting. Pied Piper. Think Pied Piper. And then finally, he defeated Goliath. Big enemy. Big enemy. That nobody else could do. Okay, let's see if I can find it. What was about the house of David? It was something else about the house of David, but I can't remember. David is richly represented in the post-biblical Jewish writing, written in oracle tradition and described in the New Testament. Yes, past that. David is discussed in the Quran. See, this is global. The biblical character David is inspired in the interpretation. Let me see, where was I at? Oh. Was this one of them? The Psalms. Oh, it is said that David was responsible for writing the Psalms. That's what it was. I got it written right here. Oh, the Psalms. Let me see. Let's read a little bit of this. It says the book of Samuel calls David a skillful harp or a lyre player and the sweet psalmist of Israel. That's important. Now, I'm just giving you the parts because, again, I can't read it all. Remember, when we start talking about a very sensual, um, alluring expert at guiding the people, enchanting them, is what David did. As his contribution to the initial foundation of building the global hierarchy, to building the pyramid, laying the foundation, the framework of that pyramid. His contribution was to be alluring, enchanting to the sheep, to the sheeple, as a shepherd. He was called to this. And he was, another thing about David is that David was, like, I'll say, for lack of better words, a Maturian candidate. He was selected specifically for his gifts, his skills, and his talent to play a particular role, to fulfill a duty. He was intentionally placed in the seat of king and of ruler. And David had to, I'll say, come up missing over and over and over again. He had to run for his life until he was put on that seat. So that goes to show that he was always under some assassination attempt. Somebody didn't want him to take that seat to play his role, his part of what? Beguiling the sheep, or the sheeple, or the people. Anyway, let me see if I can find the rest of it. Yeah. I hate the way the page is set up here. I can't think it was past here. Oh, I think I know what I had to do. I think I know. I don't know how this is gonna work. I just want Psalms, period. Is that what I did? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, I don't want the. Oh, I can't pull it up here. So I'm not going to worry about it, but I'm just going to read. You can always go. It might have very well been. Cards playing cards. It may have very well. We're still talking about the King of Spades and its significance. Um, we identified that the King of Spades is King David, uh, religious figure, character, who is a metaphor. I'm believing Dr. Princess that a metaphor is the right terminology for a particular period, time period, in which a particular phase in the plan was constructed. Talking about the pyramid, the whole plan had to be constructed. And David, that is a metaphor for that period and time and what took place. Let me explain. Due to me not being able to fully expand the board and see what I'm looking at on the Wikipedia site, I just closed it up, but you can go back. And what I'm about to move into now is talk about, number one, we know that David was a shepherd since he was a child. So he was called into a particular bloodline to perform a particular work, and it was to lead the sheep, to guide them, to keep them within a certain parameter. Next thing, how did David do that so successfully and so skillfully? He was also a master musician, a piper, if you will, leading the people, alluring them, beguiling them. How did he beguile them? By setting up, oh wow, some of the first curses, reoccurring self-imposed curses upon the sheep, upon the people. As David is synonymous with the Psalms that are in the Christian Bible. And Psalms, there are different types of Psalms that exist. So I wrote it here. So. Oh, did I? I gotta find it. Oh my God. Let's see. It's here. I didn't write it down. Oh. I might have it. Huh? Oh, I might have it here. I might have it here. That's it. Hi. Sit them right there. No, she don't. She better not.
That's why I told her I was gonna bring it to you.
Thank you. I'm live. Get out. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Here, get that. Come get this. Here, y'all gonna leave me in here? Where it go? See, it's over there. Here, bro. No. Here. Stop hitting the wall. Wash your hands. Okay. Now, what is this? Okay. No, David here. Okay. So yeah, oh, hey, oh, right here, Psalms. Found it. I think I found it. No, Psalms. Where was I at? Where did I find it? Where? Psalms. It was Psalms. David. Oh, let me finish reading this. Let me finish that. I'm still reading Wikipedia. I have another page open. I have multiple screens open, so I got lost. So anyway, still talking about David, King David. It says the book of Samuel calls David a skillful harp or a lyre player and the sweetest psalmist of Israel. Yet while almost half of the psalms are headed, a psalm of David, also translated as to David or for David, and tradition identifies several with specific events in David's life. The headings are late additions, and no psalms can be attributed to David with certainty. A lot of uncertainty here. But I was reading somewhere else that the Psalms, David composing the Psalms, that David composed the Psalms. Okay, so remember, David is a musician and a psalmist, or a basically a songwriter, or a spell writer. Spell writer. So what am I saying? David wrote the original spells in order to charm the congregation, the people, the sheeple, the layperson, however you like to label them. And this is the thing I got to figure out. Let me write this. I know what to do. I'm going to put it in Google. No, that's not it. How many types? I'm gonna put it in Google. Okay, I can do this. And so I just Googled it because I done lost some of my pages, or I got so many pages I can't see. I just Googled and asked Google, like, how many different Psalms, types of Psalms are there? Did you know that the Psalms are different? Well, Google responded, saying, hey, there are 5 different kinds of Psalms here. I mean, in the Bible, there are 5 Psalms. And so remember, David is a psalmist, or a songwriter, or a spell writer. And I kind of got confused because in the Bible, it also, well, no, in the books of the Apocryphon, the hidden books, the lost books, the books left out of our, you know, commissioned version, approved version Bible, says that there are angels that are responsible. There is a particular angel that is responsible for bringing down pre-composed spells. And then there is another angel that's responsible for bringing down the formula for creating spells. And so King David is one of those recipients of learning how to compose spells. Remember, King David was born into a line and had a destiny to fulfill. That's why the character was protected and had to stay on the run until he took his seat of authority as king. And so right now, we're going to talk about the various Psalms associated with King David and that whole story. Is that Google says that there are 5 different kinds. I'm going to read what I see. Can you define each kind of Psalms and each kind? It says there are 5 kinds of Psalms. There are praise Psalms, wisdom Psalms, royal Psalms, thanksgiving Psalms, and lament Psalms, Lament. There are 4 kinds of prayers. There are admiration, contracession, thanksgiving, and supplication. But we're focusing on the Psalms. Okay, we focus on the Psalms for a reason, because remember, we have to think of King David, as a spell writer, a spell caster. And he writes these spells in order to give them or cast them on the people. That's his role in building this hierarchy, this structure. So right now, I'm going to read. I've gone to this place called eNotes. I've been here before. I like their information. eNotes.com, and it talks about the 5 kinds of Psalms. And let's see, the 5 kinds of Psalms, reading them quickly to show the types of spells that David is responsible for composing. The Psalms of Praise is described generally focuses on the nature of God and not on specific things he's done. They tell about God's attributes and encourages the believer to praise him for his goodness, righteous, judgment, and wisdom. They often refer to playing music or singing and rejoicing. That's one of the type of psalms, praise psalms, that is directly related to King James and the works that he did to help create the system. The next thing, the character anyway. The next psalms is wisdom. Psalms of wisdom contains teachings and wise advice that are similar to the book of Proverbs, but in the form of a psalms. In studying the Psalms, we must remember that they were originally intended to be heard out loud and perhaps set to music. These general principles are meant to instruct believers on how to live a godly life to stay within the parameters of the structure. I just added that. Okay. The next psalm is the royal psalm. Royal psalms express the belief that God does his will and good works through the authority of a king. Hmm. I'm going to read that again. I need you to listen closely. Talking about King David and his contribution to building the pyramid or the structure or the global social hierarchy. The royal psalms that he taught to the people is expresses the belief that God does his will and good works through the authority of a king. Who's the king when it comes to the pyramid? It is the elitists or anybody that is above you. They cause a shots on you. Sometimes royal psalms celebrate the coronation or good works of an earthly king. Other psalms compare God to an earthly king and even points to the coming of God's son, Jesus. Okay. Jesus representing, I do believe, the awakening of us. Anywho, I never did that video. Okay. The next psalms, two more psalms, is the Psalms of Thanksgiving. The Psalms of Thanksgiving offers the believers praise and thanksgiving for what God has done for him or her. Sometimes this is a specific good that God has granted, but sometimes thanksgiving for God's goodness in general. Last psalm is that lament, Lament. That psalms responds to a crisis, grief, or despair. They are intended to move a believer from hurt to joy. This type of psalms expresses that God is present even when human beings cannot discern his presence in the world due to their own suffering. These are the 5 different types of psalms affiliated or directly related to the character King David. King David, that metaphor, if he's not real, that metaphor represents a time period, which is about 1000 BC, almost 3,19 years ago, when this system started to be orchestrated. We have yet to look at the rest of the court cards. We know the court cards rank from the 8, well, from the ace, we put the ace there, the ace, the king, the queen, the jack. They all had a role to play to the court cards. And there are 4 suits. What, 4 times ace, king, queen, jack, 4 times 4 is 16 different elitists or royalists that we would have to research in order to get an understanding of the timeline and how this system, this pyramid scheme, was set up. Now, what I would like to do is look at one more, possibly, I don't know if I can. Let me see. I'm going to put that up. And I'm going to, oh, I put with my hand. One more, y'all. I had y'all for so long. Um, what am I doing? I'm looking for. something I've already had up, but ooh, here it is. Got it. Put that back up there because we're gonna go back into the hearts. Let's see. Hmm, I don't think I didn't get rid of it. You say mournful. I think okay. Yeah. See, we think about that as mournful. Yeah, because of the what lamination of Christ or something. What is it called? Laminate of Christ. When he after he died and marrying them over him, mourning and stuff. I know I love the 91, the 91st Psalms. It's okay, we're everybody. We are everybody. Okay, let me see. I still need to go back to. Oh crap! Is it not going to work? Okay. Right, like the laminations of Christ. Right. I remember that from art history. One of the only few things I remember. Oh, it was so passionate being an art history major. It was passionate. It was beautiful. Okay. Okay. King. Okay. Going back here again. House of Cards will fall. All right. I got to get all the way down here. Those all the way down here. I don't think I want all the way down here. I don't remember seeing them. I went too far. Scooching along too far. Oh, there he is. King David. We did him. So let's move. I'm gonna now, as you can see, the King of Hearts. We're in another suit. We just did the spades. Now, who when we get a deck of cards, who is this King of Hearts really in history? Which character is he? He's actually King Charles. Let's see King Charles. I don't know who King Charles is, but let's see. We're gonna click on Charlemagne. I heard of that. Now I've heard people talk about Charlemagne, how Charlemagne never existed, as well as King David. It is even in Wikipedia when you read through it, it says it's really no historical reference to these figures. So again, we know that they are what they call metaphors. Dr. Princess, they're metaphorical characters that embody something. They embody something. And so now we're talking about the King of Hearts. Uh, Corresponds to King Charles. Who is King Charles? We click on it on Wikipedia, and it takes us to Charlemagne. I've heard Charlemagne. I never heard of the name before, but I mean, prior to I'm hearing someone speak about how Charlemagne never existed. So again, we're back to a metaphorical character in the history of humanity that embodies a concept of something that has been executed in this physical realm. What is it? We're decoding. Don't let nobody fool you. This is what you call decoding. Hmm. Please like, share, and if you haven't already subscribed, submit your love offerings at my PayPal me link. Or tonight, you can look below this live stream, and I got my Cash App me link up. Just go to your phone, type my little stuff in, and cash at me. Thank you. Okay, Charlemagne. Let's see what we can find out about Charlemagne briefly. See, I can't see here. I had kind of read through the other one a little bit. Here's Charlemagne. It says dated. This particular coin is minted. Uh, Denarius. I've heard of denarius. Okay, that's from that time. A denarius. That's in the Bible too. Pay attention. That's in the Bible too. A denarius. You say it's going to take something about a denarius for something a week in the final days. That's when you ain't going to be able to afford no food because the price of food going to be so high. Okay, I digress. A denarius of Charlemagne dated 18, I mean, 812 to 814. And I guess that's before Christ too. We're going to go down. So we getting time periods. Oh, this just be so distorted. I'm on this side of the clock. No, that got to be back over there on that side. When I say that side, I'm talking about the timeline. See, if I had it my way, I'll write across every wall. I'm one of them crazy people. I've wanted my whole wall to be a chalkboard. Mm. Mm. Ooh, sigil. This is Carolingians dynasty. I guess that's a seal. Carolingian. That's another thing we talked about, seals. Here, all of these things are relevant. Well, we don't have time to study. We have to study every part. Let's see. Okay, we got the Charlemagne. It's French. We know Charlemagne's French now. Is that what it is? In English, oh, that's just the pronunciation or how it's spelled. Or Charlemagne the Great. April 2nd, 742. And left here on the 28th of January in 814. So we know that his works had to be between 800 and 814. But is it before Christ or after Christ? I don't see that number. Charles the First was king of the Franks from 1768. The king of something else, Lombards, 774, and emperor of Rome from 800. So this person served, we can say, 3 high political seats. This king of Charlemagne, or King Charles, served 3 um, seats of power. King of the Franks, king of the Lombards, or whatever it's called, and then the emperor of Rome. And so this person, just that alone, right there, we understand that he was crossing boundaries. We know that. He was crossing boundaries. And how can I say, he was possibly, I don't know the whole story, just kind of presuming here without reading it because I can't see it. But how can I say, you know how you people in politics do, they politicking. And they are what do you call it when you interact with others? You collaborating with others, and when you brought treaties and things like that amongst nations and come together for a common goal, possibly. I don't know. They might have turned against each other. Let's see. During the early Middle Ages, he united the majority of the Western and Central Union. What I say? I ain't read down. You get what I'm saying? That's what he was doing. He was bridging parts together. Oh man, I can't go into that because that's will be revealing what the secret message I got for uh, my supporters. But yeah, he was bridging different parts of the country together. Remember, there are elitists all over the world, so he was campaigning, pulling everybody aboard. We know that about this King Charles. He was the first recognized emperor to rule the Western Europe since the fall of the Western Roman Empire 3 centuries earlier. The expanded Frankish state that Charlemagne founded is called the Carol. Okay, that's where the Carolingians come from. Okay, the Carolingians, and then we. Oh, I can't see it. Let's see. He was later canonized, so associated with the church. He was later canonized by anti-pope, Paschal the third, whoever. Charlemagne was the oldest son of. He became king in 768, following his father's death, initially as a co-ruler with his brother Carloman. Carloman's sudden death in 771 under unexplained circumstances. 771. Interesting. He continued his father's policy towards the papacy. So he had something to do with the church as well. Was messing around with the papistry, the church, and became its protector. the protector of the church. Are we finding out this person's role? Even protector of the church, the hierarchy of the church. Remember, you look at it for what it is. King David wrote the Psalms. The Psalms are administered through the churches. The churches are protected by King Charles. We know one of them. Not only did King Charles protect the churches, King Charles was campaigning or what you call it when you pull people in, creating like treaties to bring people in. Okay, we got to go. I wish I could read this, and I wish I was a quick reader. Let's see. Uh, Saxon Christianizing them upon penalty of death. What? And is it going to force religion on them? Force religions. Does that sound familiar? Maybe, I don't know. He campaigned against the Saxons to his east, Christianizing them upon penalty of death, and leading to events such as the massacre of Verdun. Ooh. So he was forcing people to take the religion. The religion is a part of that structure as well, as we know. Interesting. And he protected the religion. And he pushed it down people's throat. And he was uniting them to adhere. Okay, he reached the height of his power in 800 when he was crowned emperor of Rome. By Pope Leo III on Christmas Day at Rome's Old St. Peter's Basilica. Charlemagne has been called the father of Europe. He is united most Western. His role spurred the Carolingians Renaissance, a period of energetic culture and intellectual activity. Within the Western Church. It's all about the church when it comes to this Charles. Emperors of the Holy Roman Empire and considered themselves successors of Charlemagne's, as did the French and German monarchies. However, the Eastern Orthodox Church views Charlemagne more controversially, labeling as heterodox his support of the I'm not gonna read it because I don't think I'm gonna pronounce that right. And the Pope's recognition of him as a legitimate Roman emperor, Okay, Charlemagne died and having ruled the emperor for 14 years. Let's see, early life, ancestry, ambiguous, high office, rebelled, married to is a whole different thing. Might be the Queen of Hearts, married to. Ooh. We talking about children. Married to Deciderita. Okay, that's all right. Oh, see, I don't know how to get back. Let's see. Okay, all right. Let's try one more. Let's try one more. We did the King of Spades, the King of Hearts. Now, okay, one more and then I'm going to let y'all go. I'll finish this on my own. The next we're going to do the King of Diamonds. Now, you know the King of Diamonds correlates when we're reading cards like for divination purposes as the earth sign, so of Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And it's about materialism, capitalism, the physical world, those kind of things, tangible things, are those things that you need to maintain or sustain your physical worldly wants, needs, and desires. I didn't say it, but the King of Hearts corresponds to our water signs of Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. And this is about your emotional needs, your emotional disposition, those kind of things, home, family, love, compassion, those kind of things. And the King of Spades corresponds with our air signs of Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. These are our people in the energy of moving forward and learning this physical realm, learning how to communicate, to develop one's intellect, form of thought, those kind of things, socialization. Okay, right now we're going to look at and this is going to be the last thing we do because this can go on forever, ever and ever and ever. And so I would have to, in my personal time, go off into where this rabbit hole, wherever it's going to take me, in order to find the links to follow next. So I'm not going to do that to you, ladies and gentlemen, but I do thank you for dropping by here again at Can Angel, here at Can Angels Fly Tarot and more while I'm live. Thank you. All right. The last thing we're going to look at is the King of Diamonds. And the King of Diamonds, as you can see, corresponds with Caesar. I think most of us know Caesar, but let's click on it and see what it has to say about Caesar. It is Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar. Is Julius Caesar the one that was with not Juliet. Cleopatra? Is it? You're welcome. Let's see. This article is about the Roman dictator. Oh, we find a dictator. For other people named Julius Caesar, as well as other uses of Julius Caesar. We're talking about a dictator. That's one thing we learned, that this person is a dictator. Is it possible, just kind of jumping the gun? Somebody had to be real bodacious, I think is the word, to even implement such a structure as the pyramid scheme, or the pyramid, or this global social hierarchy, and then to distort it from its original intent. His original intent was divine, because had it been executed successfully without um, without fault, the highest point of the pyramid will have represented the exalted ruler. This is a ruler that knows what must be done and will, dedicate his or her life, most likely male, but dedicate their life to organizing the structure and maintaining the structure, intending to it, so that the bigger picture can be addressed. And the bigger picture would have been to distribute all of the natural resources to every living soul in this world at any given time. And as we advance in technology, the benefits of that advancement will have as well been beneficial to all people. If the system had not become uh, distorted or contaminated, or had failed due to man's nature, um, the bottom of the pyramid would have been the source of wealth. Again, wealth is obtained and cultivated on the backs of the layman. But due to the corruption of this perfect system, is the very top, the elitists, the rulers, are the source of poverty. And the bottom half of the pyramid is the suffering of all the individuals that create humanity. Now on to Julius Caesar. Let's see if I can do some speed reading so we can kind of see what role this iconic figure or character had played in developing this system, this pyramid. Let's see. We know that's a bust. Julius Caesar, we don't need none of that. It's a lot of stuff. This one's set up a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Time period. Let's see. We have 12 or 13 of July, 100 BC. Yep, open the door. Hello, I'm live. What you want? What's wrong? Why you freezing up? Don't get froze now. You done knocked on the door while I'm live. What are you doing out this late?
I just got out of work a little while ago,
Oh, you just got to work?
and I had to pick him up. because I use his car to go to work.
Oh.
And luckily, he get out work after me.
Oh.
Then I called my other sister to see what she was doing, and I picked her up.
Oh. So y'all all hanging out.
No, this bar picked her up, picked him up from work. I sat outside for about an hour.
Oh, that's okay. You got long as you got to work. So you came back for the papers, which I ain't did yet.
No, it was
Okay.
cold. I came back to say hi.
Oh, okay. We're back. I'm back. I love you. You look cute. Get out.
Oh God, it's so cold.
It is. It's getting cold in here.
Don't turn the air on.
I just want you to get out.
Oh.
See you later.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so it's in 12th or 13th of July, 100 BC. That's before Christ. So we're on the negative side of the timeline in the history of humanity. It's the zero in the middle. It's the negative numbers. So we're talking about, we're 2019. So 2019 plus 100. So we're talking about 2,119 years ago. You know, so this particular metaphor, iconic character, serves as a metaphor for something that may have very well been contributed into the development of the structure in this way. Let's see what we can find out. Uh, oh, he lived to 15 March 44. 44? Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, because it come up. 44. So this person didn't live a long time at all. Because it was that, 56 years? He only lived 56 years. How much trouble can you get in 56 years? Anyway, iconic. Metaphorical character. Known by his nomen and, oh, I'm just keep on school, was a populist. Was a populist. Okay. What is that? Oh, I hate to click on stuff on here because, oops. What is that? What is a populist, y'all? I'm scared to click it. Brutus killed him, remember? But, oh, God. Okay, what's a, not to be confused what Polarismo. Okay. Populist redirects here for other uses, probably ambiguous. Occupy Wall Street. Oh, with its rhetoric of the 99%, the people against the 1%. How the hell we get here? How the hell we get here? How the hell we get here? This is decoding something. Now check that out. What are we doing? We doing the King of Diamonds. Find out the King of Diamonds corresponds to Caesar. Click on Caesar. Find out it's our Julius Caesar. Find out he's a populist, whatever it is, and come to find out we're talking about what I've been talking about when it comes to the pyramid. He is the 1% of the population. It says it's rhetoric of the 99%, the people, us, the lay men and women, against the 1%, the elitists. The elitists. What? Decode. Don't let nobody tell you nothing. The international Occupy movement was a, god dang, I don't know how to get. I wish I knew how to make it big so I could see. Y'all see, I did not go this far. When I started getting the download, I just stopped. I just like 34th time I tried to do a download, let y'all actively see what it consists of in the process. And I didn't taking all my vices. I used to be here getting down, baby, walking and talking, writing on the walls, all kind of stuff. I am that nutty philosopher that you see on TV in one of them crazy movies. I can't example. Occupy the movement was an example of the populist social movement. Ah, that was something else I started writing and I didn't cover. Populism refers to a range of political stances that emphasize the idea of the people and often juxtapose, I don't know how to pronounce that, y'all do, this group against the elite. The term developed in the 19th century and has been applied to various politicians, parties, and movements since that time, although has rarely been chosen as a self-description. Within political science and other social sciences, several different definitions of populism have been employed with some. Scholars proposing that the term be rejected altogether. Oh wow, I wish I knew how to go back. See, I gotta go back. It's the only way I know to go back. Come on. Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to get back to Caesar so we can finalize this video. I just want to see if there's any other. This is deep. Works for you. I challenge you. Go ahead and research. Receive your download and follow the line of thought. Hold on to the image. Decipher it. You will begin to see. Okay, let's find out a little bit more about Caesar. You say Brutus killed him. I thought Brutus was in. Oh, I don't know. Roman dictator. Okay, Caesar was a populist. Now we know that he's either 1% or he did 99%. I'm willing to bet if he became a Roman dictator, he was the 1%. He was a dictator. So we're talking about maybe where the corruption started, to the system. Because we think about this system really, we got to remember, Egypt, going back to Egypt, is supposed to be synonymous with the pyramids, the wonders of the world, one of the seven wonders of the world or something like that. And so what am I saying? I'm saying that's supposed to be an advanced culture and civilization. And so maybe during that time period and prior, possibly. I don't know. I would have to look at the timeline. I need my whole wall to be a chalkboard, to be able to write it down and be able to see. But maybe at that time, as the structure was being developed, possibly, uh, maybe it was for a divine purpose, but got corrupted. Did it start? Does Julius Caesar represent the corruption of this global hierarchy? Possibly. Let's see. Anyway, Caesar was a populist Roman dictator, politician, military general. Remember, we were talking about the Sphinx being a representative is a guardian and is a representative of all our law enforcement on various levels, protecting the structure itself. He is a military general and historian who played a critical role in the events that led to the demise of the Roman Republic. And of course, we will have to go look and see what the Roman will research and see what the Roman Republic was about. What was he against about that? Um, let's see. Was an era of classical Rome, maybe classical. I don't know what that's a Roman civilization beginning with the overthrow of the Roman kingdom about 509 BC and ending, I can't see, with the establishment of the Roman Empire. It was during this period that Rome's control expanded from the cities. So was he pushing back because it was another, I can't see the whole thing. And the rise of the Roman Empire. He also wrote Latin prose. And 60 BC, Caesar and whoever else formed the first. I don't know what's that. It didn't come up. It didn't. Why don't want to come up? Show me. No. I messed up. I messed up. I got so excited. What is this? They formed this. What is this? The This article might approve talk page. It doesn't even exist in this too. Oh, okay. Here we have this article about the ancient Roman political alliance between Caesar and whoever is Crassus and Pompey from the 19th century AD. After that, scene is these the same day periods? These periods don't seem the same. Argentina need a town. I need a chalkboard on my wall. Argentina alliance. See first, the first thing Argentina. Oh, it has to do with Argentina. So what did they have a problem with Argentina about? The first was an informal alliance between the three prominent Roman politicians. It was an alliance. Is he the one? He was the other one. It was pulling about the church. What is he doing? The Constitution of the Roman Republic was a complex set of checks and balances. See, he didn't want no checks and balances. Okay, getting that checks and balance. So Caesar must have went up against it because he ain't want that check and balance. He didn't want that because he was a dictator. Designed to prevent a man from rising above the rest and creating a monarchy. The 1% versus the 99%. In order to bypass these constitutional obstacles, Caesar forged a secret alliance in which they proposed to use their respective influence to help each other. That's a part of what's going on now. I can't give out the secret message, y'all. I can't. I could have something mixed up. I don't know. We got to read it. I think Macbeth. Right. That's what when I was like when you said Brutus, I say, is that in the Bible? Is it stuff like Shakespeare? I get confused. That was always my problem. What's real and what's not. Now I find out some of the stuff that I thought was real when I was in school ain't real. That's crazy. Tells the story. Remember, Beware the of March. He was murked. 331. Really? Oh God. Hold on, y'all. I got to go back one more time. I gotta go back because I'm really just trying to see what else Caesar. I mean, now we know he's a dictator. That he fought against the Roman Republic to push him back because he was interested in being a 1%er and he was a dictator and he wanted to be in control and he didn't want no checks and balances around him. And so that's the part that he plays to this structure that's been created. House of Cards will fall, but it's not due to their error. This is the crazy part. It's not due to their error. It is due to the extensive hoarding of this earth. That's the catch. And the reselling or the reestablishment or of this physical realm due to over. I'm experiencing issues. Okay, y'all, don't start. I'm about to get off. I am about to get off here, y'all. I've been on. I think I went too far. Or did I? I think I went too far. Yeah, I think I went the wrong way. God dang it. There you go. Okay, one more time. One more time. Okay. Learn about Caesar. What else is it? I mean, that's a lot. That's why he got murked. Okay, that's where I clicked off. That dominated a political alliance that dominated Roman politics for several years. Their attempts to amass power as populares were opposed by the uh, Optimates. Optimates. But you can't read that. Were a conservative political party. Okay, or something like that. Within the Roman. Okay, so it's people always trying to oppose him. That's how he got stabbed up. Among the Cato the Younger, with the frequent support of Caesar, rose to become one of the most powerful politicians in Rome. He was a dictator, so we know how that was. Republican through a number of his accomplishments. Notable was his victories in the wars completed by 51 BC. During the time, Caesar became the first Roman general, another general, remember the Sphinx, to cross both the English Channel. So we're talking about colonization, spreading the building of this global social hierarchy. Um, so it seems like we're talking about the beginning of the corruption of this the system when it built the bridge across the Rhine and crossed the Channel to invade Britain. Caesar's war extended Rome's territory. Caesar's wars extended Rome's territory to Britain and passed. Wow, these achievements granted him unmatched military power. The Sphinx. Yeah, these achievements granted him unmatched military power and threatened to eclipse the standing of Pompey, who had realigned himself with the Senate after the death of Crassus. Mm. So we kind of get the idea. Let's see. As a result, Caesar found himself with no other option but to cross the. Okay, he crossed that after assuming control of the government. Let's see. After assuming control of the government, Caesar began a program of social and governmental reforms, including the recreation of the Julian calendar. So we also know that he had something to do with the calendar. Let's see, proposed by Julius Caesar. Oh, that's why it's called Julian calendar. Oh, you can learn if you just could read. If I could read, it'd be okay. It took effect. It was predominant calendar in the Roman world. Most of Europe and in the European settlements of America. Interesting time. It's interesting. He gave citizenship to many residents of far regions of the Roman Empire. He initiated land reform. Land reform. That's like dividing the land up. How it's going to be divided up. See, now we're starting to look at when you start asking the question. We ask the question like, how can a person buy land? How can they buy a lot? How can they buy an acre? Possibly even going into how does things become states? Does it go back to Julius Caesar? I can't see all this, but it's so much. And so we're talking about because it says here in Wikipedia, he gave citizenship to many residents of foreign regions of the Roman Empire. It said he initiated, meaning he started land reform. What's land reform? We ain't gonna do it. And support for veterans, people that was in his military. See the structure of the Sphinx. He centralized the bureaucracy of the republic and was eventually proclaimed dictator for life, giving him additional authority. He's a authoritarian, reforms angered elitists who, oh wow, even angered the elitists. Mm. So we're talking about people like Hitler, you know, like you got to remember the elitists enlist these people to do certain things. And people like Caesar and Hitler, they get so much power, they want their own thing. But this is a system that has been set up and established for a purpose and intent, even if it's corrupted. And the people that are the elitists don't want them, particular people like Caesar and Hitler, to take the power. It is not for them because remember, when the house of cards fall, only the elitists will stand. They will be levitating. They don't need the spinal support of the rest of civilization. So they're gonna what do you call it, levitate. Caesar, Hitler, all of them falling when the cars fall because everything is built on what? The layperson's back. Layperson's back. So, okay, we want to do the last one just to see who the last person is. Did we do the last person? Is that it? I guess so. That might be it. We did the hearts, the spades, the hearts. Oh, no, we didn't do the clubs. I just want to know who it is and what they playing. And then I'm gonna let y'all go. I ain't gonna say that no more. That's what the idea is. A March meant an old angel and things might be blurred together. Oh, I did not know that. And thank you for sharing. That's what I'm saying. We all up on here. We figuring some stuff out like never before. Like never before in the history of humanity. I really believe that. But a long time. Very, very long time. Okay. The last one. Who is the king of clubs? You know, the king of clubs corresponds with our fire signs of Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. These are people that are motivated and inspired. They are persuasive. They are very creative, and they move forward through life, burning through this reality, creating and making changes in this world. This is a representation that the fire signs are a representation of how we select to use our vital life force energy, and something else, but it's Alexandria. Alexandria. Let's see. Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great is the king of clubs. Reigned from 336 to 323. That is 13 years before the birth of Christ, or is that before the death of Christ? I get confused. Okay, whatever it is, we can always look that up. Oh, okay. Commonly known as Alexander the Great, was a king of the ancient Greek. So now we've talked about, you got to put, we're talking about different parts of the world. Remember, this is a global system. This is a global hierarchy. And so we're talking about what has been contributed from a particular continent or a particular culture at different time periods in the history of humanity to develop this overall structure, the pyramid. And let's see, he was the king of ancient Greece, kingdom of Macedonia, and a member of the somebody dynasty, as an ancient royal house of Darian Greek, and there were founders of some. He was born, okay, and succeeded his father, Philip II. He spent most of his time ruling years on unprecedented military campaigns. Unprecedented military campaigns. This is what Alexander did through Asia. So we're talking about pushing through and colonizing Asia and getting them on board for this structure. And so this is what Alexander the Great did, moving through Russia and Northeast Africa. And by the age of 30, he had created one of the largest empires of the ancient world, stretching from Greece to northwest India. He was undefeated in battle and was widely considered one of the history's most successful military commanders. During his youth, Alexander was tutored by Aristotle, and that's a whole nother thing. You know, Aristotle has to do with the field of study of uh, philosophy. Philosophy. Until the age of 16, after Philip's assassination in 336. He succeeded his father to the throne and inherited a strong kingdom and an experienced army. Alexander was rewarded the generalship of Greece. Here we go back to the Sphinx as it was described to me by the energy that came to visit me today, and used this authority to launch his father's Hellenic project to lead the Greeks into the conquer of Persia. Again, it's his campaign and getting everybody on board, and began a series of campaigns that lasted 10 years. He was only in office 30 years. 13 years. Following the conquer of whoever it was, Alexander broke the power of Persia in a series of decisive battles, most notably the battles of whoever it was. He subsequently overthrew Persian king Darius III. So, we go to see, we overthrow, I don't know how much I can see, and this is it. This is it. See, it won't stop. We talking about over 3,000 years of history. But let's see. If we talk about King Darius, what was King Darius about? What did Caesar overthrow? Why did Caesar overthrow him? Let's see. Because it tells us what opposition that they faced, the developers of this pyramid or the structure, what opposition they face. What opposition does Darius represent? Which we might read through the dynasty. His empire was unstable, with large portions governed by jealous and unreliable, whoever they were, and inhabited by disaffected and rebellious subjects. Wow. And Alexander began his invasion of the Persian, defeated the numbers before looting and destroying their capital, and setting it on fire. They're just ruthless. Darius was killed by his cousin. Oh, they was just shady folks. Hmm. You know what? Let me try to sum up Darius and what I'm seeing. Now, Darius seems to represent, we're talking about over 3,000 years of developing this pyramid scheme. And once it went corrupt with Julius Caesar, we'll say, we haven't still searched the queens and the Jacksons, things like that, to see if they are representative or a metaphor of some of, you know, figure, significant figure in history or character. But let's say hypothetically, case scenario, that the system really went corrupt with Julius Caesar, and he became interested in he saw the power of the structure of the system. Remember, the wealth actually resides or comes from the bottom, and it sustains the whole system. Poverty comes from the top. But long as the system is functioning, long as the bottom half does the work and the labor, the whole pyramid is fed, housed, clothed, their physical worldly wants, needs, and desires are covered, right? And the king, whoever sits on the throne or is considered the elitist, Julius Caesar trying to take that place, but the elite is at the top, real like, no, no. Now, is them elitists aliens or not? I don't know. I'm going to digress. But let's throw that out there. So, I forgot what I was going to say. I think I'm getting sleepy. I'm going to say this if I figure it out, and I'm out of here. Okay. So, what was I going to say? Oh, what role Darius played. So, when after after that, then we come to Julius Caesar. Is that right? No, who are we on? What's his name we just got on? Oh, I'm forgetting. Yeah, I'm getting sleepy. What time is it? Oh, yeah, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting sleepy. But I start breaking down by now. I usually have my cup of coffee now. Whoever we talking about, Darius posed an issue because he really wasn't an issue. I can't say that. You got to remember that whoever we talking about now, the king of clubs, went out campaigning to get people on board, and it was certain people that this figure or this character meets with during the construction of the pyramid, and these people are lost. They are completely lost. There are odds. The house, you heard the quote, "A house divided falls." Well, when he went to these to wherever Persia, Darius was, the house was divided. Persia was divided. They were messy. His Darius' own brother killed him. And so there was no allegiance within that country. So whoever King of Clubs comes in, Julius Caesar, whoever it was, comes in, and he's easily able to take them captive and manipulate them to fall or yield to this new developing structure. That seems to be what role Darius plays. He wasn't opposition. Matter of fact, him and his whole crew, his whole country were just reckless, it seems like. And so it was easy for them to be overthrown. So Darius represents a part of society that is easily manipulated and into yielding to the structure. So that's a part of the representation. That's a part of the encoding, simply just looking at it like that. Darius, yeah. Let's see. But he died at 33, some say, in Persia after he left Egypt, I think. Darius, other than I think you said, yeah, yeah, it's getting late. It's getting late. Here's another sigil or symbol. Um, He had distinguished himself in combat of champions in the war against whoever and was serving at the time as a royal connoisseur, Was it concierge? I don't remember. However, prior to being appointed as a royal, I'm gonna say concierge, he had served as a whatever that is. Who is this? Ooh, that's a whole lot of stuff. Something dynasty, independent kingdom. Okay, he may have been promoted from his satrapy to the postal service after the ascension of I don't know all these people. That's too much. For he is referred to as one of the king's friends at court after the occasion. Da, 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 after the death of, oh Lord, Darius, you had a whole bunch of folks around you. And let's see, after the latter had poisoned the king, they got a lot going on. They messy. These people messy right here. Darius third and quickly demonstrated his independence from the possible assassin benefactor and tried to poison Darius. Darius couldn't be controlled. Darius couldn't be controlled. Darius is a representative of folks that ain't got no control, no consciousness, no awareness, and they are part of this structure as well, and they will be overtaken and forced to yield. Warned and forced up to drink the poison. Very, very messy poison. And will drink the poison. Ah, Lord have mercy. Ain't they messy? They was messy. They was some real messy folks, and so they got overthrown and they lost a whole doggone nation, country. That's insane. Well, I love you all. Thank you all for hanging in here. I guess my eyes getting heavy. I'm about to go get me a cup of coffee and finish partaking in my vices. Hopefully, um, this live stream was it was coherent. Hopefully, what was I doing in this live stream? I was sharing one of the messages I received from, I'll say, the what do they call it, the yeah, I'm getting sleepy, the Kashi records. And good night, y'all. Bye.